What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are here to talk about a certain film that opens up the multiverse for the first time. No, actually, not the first time, but we'll get there. I have a full panel here, and there's still going to be people trickling in. I'm just going to present everybody here so you can see their awesome faces. What's going on, everybody here? We're about to
What's
talk about
good?
Doctor Strange. Y'all ready?
Hello.
Yes, sir. I'm ready.
How you guys doing?
Pretty good. So just briefly introduce yourselves, I guess from the top. Jedi Mike, you're first.
Oh,
You're on mute, good sir.
yeah. All right, hello everyone. I'm Jedi Mike 7. I have a YouTube channel called Jedi Mike 7 on YouTube. We got reviews, news, and truth, and I'm very happy to talk about this film finally. I've been in many heated debates about this since last Thursday, and my thoughts have been I have notes, and the notepad is ready. So let's get to it.
I'm going to disintegrate that notepad, sir, but don't worry.
Okay. All right.
Don't worry.
Bet. Set it up.
Brandon.
All right, what's up, folks? Brandon Choi, host and co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. We get into a whole bunch of stuff, not just with pop culture news, but also with business related stuff too, in terms of entertainment. Because I don't feel like that gets talked about enough in terms of how that plays a role in how the entertainment industry goes. Sometimes me and my colleague can get very cynical about how a lot of those things play a part in how all forms of entertainment go. So you can check us out at Movers Shakers Unlimited over on YouTube and elsewhere.
Brandon, thank you for coming, man. I promise you we're not going to go to 2 o'clock this time. I promise. What's going on, Anthony?
Well, I am Ant Gold, or perhaps I should say I'm shadow walking into Ant Gold. I'm actually Ant Silver from Earth 612. I'm just wondering, is this how y'all usually do podcasts? Because we usually do it with our eyes closed, with our backs turned to the camera. So I don't know. I'm looking to explore this universe with y'all.
So he's another member of TeamJVS, and I'm happy he's here. You should check out our Moon Knight reviews, even though we have not reviewed the last episode, which we're going to do that very soon. So what's going on, Natasha? What's going on, Nat?
Hi, I'm Nat, Natasha, aka Natty Willie. In another universe, I would want to be Monica Rambeau's daughter. So yeah, I would rather have powers, fly, and all that jazz. So yeah.
And okay.
I don't know.
And last but not least, John, what's going on, brother?
Cheers, everybody. Since I'm the only one on this panel apparently with a drinking problem. So it's your boy Knight. What's going on? Wow. Thank you for having me.
I don't know if that's true.
You are not the only person on this panel with a drinking. I'll be right back. Yeah.
Like I'm watching a music video.
Right, absolutely. But yeah, it's John or Knight, depending on what you want to call me. Appreciate it. And I'm excited to talk about this film. So let's get into it. I'm ready.
All right. So first thing on deck that I have for you guys, this is really kind of an icebreaker, as it were. What is the one expectation, just one expectation that you had going into this film, and did it get fulfilled? We'll start with Anthony.
Damn it. All right. You wanted rapid, man. You wanted rapid. I expected, if I come to your house and you're having a madness ice cream party, I'm expecting more than 5 flavors. I was kind of hoping that we would jump a few more dimensions than we actually did. I think we only got like 3, not counting the one they started in, right? So Multiverse of Madness, I felt like, and the rapidly falling through them doesn't count. 2, actually. I wanted some more. I wanted some more dimension hopping.
Okay, that's fair enough. Nat, what about you?
I wanted more magic and more intense magic, and I think I got that.
Okay. Yeah, actually, no. We're gonna talk about that a little bit later. Jedi Mike, what about you?
I wanted a good story, and
oh Lord. Okay, did you get that?
And
Icebreaker.
I didn't think I get the story that I wanted, but I got the story that I felt I will accept. That makes sense.
Wow. Okay.
I'll accept it.
Brent.
Well, following that up,
Good.
no, all jokes aside. So overall, I would say I did get, what I expected. I mean, based on what you have on paper, with the filmmaker, which I'm sure we'll get into, with all the parties involved, and then also keeping in mind of, and I want to get into that too, like, all of us that are kind of in the regular, the regular, I guess you can say the overall like media spin of stories that regularly hit social media and constantly being intertwined in the stories that run. It's very easy to forget that you have folks out there that are casual fans, and if you're not really entrenched in a lot of the lore, a lot of it can go over your head, and it's very easy to not be able to pick up on a lot of things. So in terms of marrying those two things, of giving me what I want, but still making it into a story that for the most part coalesces, then yeah, I enjoyed it.
All right, John.
I expected to really love this movie. That's not what happened.
Dang.
So yeah.
Facts.
So for me, I'm along the same lines of Ant Gold. Actually, I was hoping for this film, and I'll get into that in another question, was supposed to be the platform to opening up what this whole multiverse was going to be. And they had said, or Kevin had said, like, oh, just wait. You're getting a little taste here, but you're going to get like what the real multiverse is going to look like on a big scope. And I think that my anticipation was that, okay, they did this with Captain America 3, so this is going to be a wide open, big scope. And there are some big things in this, big moments, big characters, which we're going to go into because it's a spoiler review. But it wasn't, for me, enough of a world building multiverse situation, which I'll get into that in a specific question very soon. But let's go ahead and kind of knock down some doors, I guess the best way I can kind of put it. So Doctor Strange 2, I don't know how many of you guys liked the first one. I didn't necessarily. But when the director was talking about, the original director, not Sam Raimi, was talking about he wanted to make this an expansive horror superhero film. I was like, I don't know if they're gonna go down this route, but you know what? We'll see. And did they do that?
Would have been better.
Did they actually make it a superhero horror film? We're gonna get into that to a different question, but as far as some of the things, intense and crazy moments that you didn't expect, can you guys give me something that you guys just didn't expect that was just insane? That I guess either you liked or you didn't like, but it was whether it was insane or crazy, you can define it as that in this film.
What we didn't expect?
Didn't expect it. You didn't expect it at all. Never. It came out of nowhere.
I guess an early funeral of those 5 flavors.
Oh man. Go ahead, expound on it. Go ahead.
Well, okay.
You're talking about the Illuminati.
For me, like, yeah. So talking about with the Illuminati, right? And I want to kind of, right. I'm just trying to get the anticipation for it. So this film has been, as any Marvel film, been hyped up. Obviously, we had Spider-Man: No Way Home that have been hyped up for almost the longest time, and I felt really delivered on the being satisfied. But with this film, you hearing people, oh, it's gonna top Endgame, this is gonna top Infinity War, top No Way Home. I'm like, top No Way Home, really? Right? Make me a film that made me cry multiple times, and then we get to the Illuminati, right? If you look at some of the audience reactions on YouTube, there was only really 2 scenes that really got a reaction out of the crowd, and that was the reveals and the demise of those 5 flavors, right? And for me personally, I expected a little bit more. I understand Kevin Feige like to keep things simple, but don't treat me like I'm an idiot where you're gonna basically say, hey, we're Marvel, So you're just gonna deal with it and just and basically troll us with these characters that you need to watch Marvel's What If. Don't understand a character you're only gonna see for about 3 minutes.
Dang. You got some animosity about that thing. Anybody
Heard it.
else?
I mean,
I would go ahead.
Choir?
I can't say that he's. I'm sure we'll get into the whole Illuminati in more detail.
We are.
soon.
We
but,
will.
And I'll piggyback off that in a bit. But to be honest with you, I can't say that there's anything that
You were surprised
I
by?
didn't expect. Yes, I feel like everything that I got, because I'm one from the very jump. Minute that Sam Raimi was announced, I was like, so it's kind of like, and when I went into the film, it's exactly what I got and expected. And some of it was like, okay, that's cool, good job. But most of it was just like, Jesus, okay. It just wasn't clicking with me because his style is very unique and for a certain particular type of film, mostly his. But if he goes for anything else, trying to branch out to superheroes, do whatever, it just loses me because it just doesn't sit right or work well with me, his style. So in terms of nothing, just the Illuminati, like I said, just popping up and and what happened. They really literally did a Deadpool 2 on us. I wasn't expecting that. But that's really about it. But nothing crazy like, I didn't expect that. No, not really.
Just real quick, have Ronan Unchained here. What's going on, brother?
Hey man, yo, what's up, fellas? Sorry about the late things. Damn tech. It's 2022, man. I thought I'd be ahead of the curve by now.
Look, you're not alone. There's other people still trickling in. Real quick, what was one of your anticipations of this film going into it, and did that anticipation get met for you?
To me, yes. My anticipation was that let me feel something different, something fresh, something that I can't tell what's gonna happen. And it's gonna sound hypocritical, but even though I'll say that I really like the film, I feel that after Endgame, there should have been a few years where no movies came out. You could put the Disney Plus shows out and whatnot, but I feel there should have been a gap where we were like, all right, we closed the book on Endgame and that Infinity Saga. Let's wait till tell stories. And to me, and I know John, God bless him, he was like, when I ranked a couple of movies, he was like, what are you talking about?
I was trying not to bring that up because I was trying to hold on to our friendship right now. But just
listen,
wounds,
that's what makes the friendship more deeper. And but I'm not going. I wasn't, and neither was he going. Like, how I'm gonna bury you? How dare you? You call yourself a MCU fan? To me, this is my favorite film after Endgame concluded. This is my favorite film out of the MCU. And is it? And it sounds so generic to say and so repetitive, but was it perfect? No, but for my money, it felt fresh, and I didn't know where the hell this thing was going. And that, to me, in this day and age, is a plus.
Yeah, we're gonna go into that because I think that's a really interesting point. Some people here didn't have any expectation because they kept their ears closed, they kept their eyes closed, so they didn't see any trailers. They didn't know anything. Some people went into this completely blind.
Good for you.
It wasn't
Truly.
me. I'm saying some
Truly.
people
For whoever.
did.
Yeah, whoever went in gold, good for them.
It's not easy.
trailer.
The reason why I bring that up, this interesting point, is that if you think about the movies that came after Endgame, I mean, is he wrong? But that's
Weak.
We're
They're weak
there.
sauce.
We're gonna get there. But is he wrong? We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. So, going back to the last question, Ronan, what was an insane, crazy moment for you that you just didn't expect? Because you coming from this a different energy. So I like that. So what's something that you didn't expect that happened in this film?
I didn't expect. Well, let's say this because she's the main headlines going around the internet. That I didn't expect Wanda to go full on bad to like the last 10-15 minutes of the movie. I was like, usually, there's a point where she realizes I'm a monster. And she does eventually, but like it's way early on, usually in these films or in other films. And then she has a big moment where she turns. And this one, it's just it's and this is spoilers we're talking, right?
Yeah, complete
Okay.
spoilers.
Awesome.
Jedi Mike is tripping me up.
That's another thing about this fucking movie. That at the end she realizes she's a monster, but she doesn't ask for forgiveness. She's accepted what she's done, and it's for better or for worse how people feel about it. She's realized it and has stopped to an extent. And I mean, it's weird because I get older and I appreciate what a camera can do, especially in the MCU or even in any big pop culture movie when it's not cutting so much, but it's doing something interesting with curving into the side. Which anytime that happened, anytime it was full on Raimi, I was on board with it from a technical level, not writing, not jokes, not pacing, not tone, but just on a technical level. I felt like the his origin story is the most well-known thing, even though he was an obscure character before his first movie. That's what people knew. Surgeon messed up his hands, now he decides to be a good guy and fight wizards with magic spells and whatnot. This, from what I've the minimal stuff I've read of books or I've heard people talk about passionately about this character, is that if you dive deep into it, it gets weird. Not just like, forget the universes and multiverse, just in the sanctum, it's a weird place to hang out. So I appreciated that I got some of that vibe out of this film.
Okay. Anybody else? Moment that you didn't expect?
I'll just say, just in general, not necessarily a moment, is and it slightly hops off of what Ronan was saying, is I'm a big fan of Sam Raimi and his body of work, Evil Dead, all that stuff. And I wasn't sure because he has a tendency to go off the rails a little bit with some of the stuff, and sometimes I'm down with it. And so I wasn't sure if Feige would allow him, kind of in the same lines of what you were talking about before with Derrickson, of Derrickson and Feige went their separate ways, because I feel like Feige felt that Derrickson was going to go in a way that didn't really fit with the aesthetic that they were trying to continue with the MCU.
Actually been scary. Got it.
But with Sam Raimi, like, I'm still surprised that he got away. Moving on, I'm still surprised that Raimi got away with a lot of the stuff that he did get away with, in an MCU film, and tonally a lot of the stuff, because I was like, wow, like, and I mean, folks have commented on it too, and I'm like, still at the end of the day, I normally say it's a Sam Raimi film. That's why the just as you were saying, Ronan, why a lot of the shots and the style and the tone is the way that it is, because it's very Raimi. So in that regard, I found it refreshing that they seem to allow Raimi to do a lot of his Raimi stuff.
Yeah, we're actually going to get into that. That's one of the last questions that I have in terms of not just tone, but some of the things they got away with in this film. And I briefly talked to John about it, but we're going to get into that.
It was pretty grisly for a PG-13 movie. Like,
I can't wait to dissect
like
some of
that.
that, even more so than whatever the story was. Anybody else that had something that surprised them? If not, we can go into the next question. All right. So Brandon brought it up. Sam Raimi. Either you really love his films or you really don't. Either you like his style and his image. And to be fair, bro, like, I'll say this personally. I think this is one of the best looking Marvel films I've seen in a while. Like, as far as the cinematography and the sharpness and some of the visual aesthetics. Now, sometimes it's some spotty CG because every darn Marvel film is always overusing CG for whatever the reason. But from a technical standpoint, a lot of the imagery and a lot of the shots, specifically when Scarlet Witch starts to turn it up, it was very much so his style, right? But that necessarily isn't necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. But I want us to talk about Sam Raimi and your feeling that what did he bring for you as a viewer? Like, did you like his style of film? Did you like his tone? Did you like his story, or didn't you? I mean, I think that's something to talk about, because a lot of that is going to play hands on your feelings about different things that happen in this film. So anybody that wants to touch on that first.
I don't know the background history of this film. I enjoy seeing Sam Raimi's work, and some of his angles, some of his trademarks that are in this film. It's easy to see why they picked them, but oftentimes it felt like there were two different movies going on, or two different directions or flows in this,
right?
And that would take me out of certain scenes. I also felt like if you were strictly an MCU fan, I see how you enjoy this. If you are an MCU sycophant, I can see how you'll enjoy anything Marvel does. But I think there were problems for me when it comes to the wider, I guess, some of these characters and how they're presented to the public. So I don't know if he actually cared about these characters, but I do think he cared about Strange, because the Strange comics that I loved, it's not about beating somebody with overwhelming power, right? Like Strange is dealing with stuff and concepts that other characters don't really deal with. So you might have Xavier and the Shadowcan battling in the psychic plane, and Stephen Strange astral projects across in the background and no one pays attention to him because he's doing stuff that's probably saving reality. And I like that. That's one of the only two things I liked with the first film, is that it didn't end with a beat me up type of scenario. Like you didn't overpower the bad guy or beat him in a fist fight. You had to outthink your god tier powerful enemy, and I like what you brought to that. And I like some of the visuals. And when Wanda crawled out of the mirror dimension, whatever that means for the whole meta plot, the way that was done, that was like, who else are you going to get to film that scene in the way they did? Didn't even make sense, but it looked
I'll talk about that.
It looked great. That was my 2 cents so far. I'm sure I'll interrupt somebody. So
yeah, no, I think that was really good. I completely agree with everything you just said. Anybody else?
Wait, I talk a lot, so y'all go.
I'll say this. I can't say I'm not a Sam Raimi fan, and I can't say I am a Sam Raimi fan, because yes, I did grow up with the Spider-Man movies, and I've seen bits and pieces of the Evil Dead films. I think the one I saw all the way and I can remember parts is Army of Darkness, but his aesthetic isn't the first thing that comes to mind of me wanting to watch a movie. Now, having said that, I appreciate what he brought to this film, for better or for worse. And so, like, I knew about the camera going tilted sideways and just closing in on someone, or just focusing on an eye and being over dramatic. And that's something that once we do get about, like, later down the line about MCU films and whatnot, that as far as I was concerned, I'm going to say this to preface this, that I liked the first film a lot. I remember seeing the 3D like a few weeks in advance, look at like 10 minutes of the movie in 3D. It was mind-bending. I was like, what the hell is this movie going to be? And I like that movie a lot. I like Michael Giacchino's score in that movie a lot. Yes. It has a special part in my heart in the MCU where it sticks out in a different way, for better or for worse. And I feel that there are parts that I'm like, I think only Sam Raimi would have done this, and yet I'm intrigued to be like, well, what would Scott Derrickson have done? Because the only thing I ever heard out of what he wanted to do was that he wanted to make it like a haunted house horror movie where it was in the Sanctum Sanctorum, which that in itself as an idea, I am
that sounds cool.
That sounds amazing.
Yes, intrigued. But like I think it was Sam, you brought up of how when Wanda or Ant is going full on bad, specifically in Kamar-Taj, the wide shots, the covering of the whole area, I appreciated that. And then it would go and get right in your face or in a character's point of view and seeing how much damage she could get. And Wanda, anyways, I'll say for Wanda when we talked about character, because I'm shocked at how people much are crying and screaming to the heavens, but to each their own.
I have a question. Because I'm not up on the technical point of this. Are there two different? I'm not trying to interrupt you. But were there two different directors at some point? Was this like a solo? Like somebody?
No. So basically, Scott Derrickson was. No, Scott Derrickson was signed on to
Was
direct
all
it. He was
Raimi.
on. He came on in Comic-Con and said, "I'm directing. This can be the first Marvel scary movie, whatever." Then also
Yeah.
he departed from the project, but he's still on as a producer. So technically, he didn't leave. He just still don't stayed on as a producer, and then Sam Raimi took over. So basically,
Yeah.
that's how it goes.
And
Okay.
Yeah.
and
Sorry to jump in. I just wasn't sure.
No,
of the
no, it's okay.
context between the.
it's it's fine. And to add on to that, the ending, from my understanding, when Sam Raimi was shooting it, they hadn't defined what the ending was actually going to be.
I see.
There wasn't a defined ending at all. And
explains
with
yeah.
him, the way that he does stuff, like he's really meticulous about how he wants stuff to be structured. So he knows where his point is gonna end. And I could even tell. I was like, I don't know if that's anyway, whatever. I'll just accept it.
Maybe.
kind of
It's-
situation. But
It's weird that I haven't seen an MCU movie in a long time where it's only one writer credited, and yet since the movie's been out, I've been hearing that the script changed over and over and over and over again. And I'm like, I could feel it.
Wouldn't shock me.
Someone as a fan of the movie and I like it, I could feel it.
Well,
yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
I think
think-
that's where Ant's feeling like there's different hands in the pot or different.
too many
tones
cooks in the
going
kitchen
on.
sometimes, whatever. But
Mm.
But I will say, well, we can get into the whole writer conversation, and like, if you want, we can transition to that. But like, I want on the going to point with Sam Raimi with the visuals, that I really liked. Obviously, I'm saying with Ronan that other than the Spider-Man films were very close to my heart, but also to like I did like look at Army, the whole film that he used to do, but the styles that I liked and the decisions that he made was like specifically when it came to Wanda, like when it came to the whole thing of dream walking. I thought my favorite scene was when she was taking over the other Wanda in the Earth 838 universe, and
That possession scene.
And the possession scene in the house, and as she was walking down, and you see the lights, but you see the perspective of someone's in the house and they're trying to hide back from the stairs, and the camera was following her. Even to a point, my favorite shot was when they were looking at the picture,
And
of
the
her,
picture turns,
and she turned around, looking at her. I was like, oh shoot,
Yeah.
and that was cool. That was cool. And then even to the point where she lost the connection of her other self, and that she was still like holding Billy and Tommy and other scene when after the Darkhold was or the copy was destroyed, but then when she came back again and after they took a nap and also she woke she opened her eyes and the music kind of like almost like a ghost possessed her and stuff like that. I thought that was very good what he did, because he acts into a sense of suspense, but also to a point where he add an emotional element to that suspensefulness, right? Whether that might be seeing her crawling out, walking barefoot on broken glass, trying to chase, strange American all stuff, but then yet you feel the anger, the frustration, but we also see the distraughtness of like, she's crazy, but is it technically a mother's anger or frustration? Like, I'm gonna get what I need, and I'm not gonna let this one thing that everything's been taken from me in my life that was good. I'm not gonna let this opportunity go. So, in a sense, it's almost like her body was deteriorating, almost, and even after the scene where she threw America into our main universe, and then the other Wanda became possession of herself. She's just like, oh my god, my boys. And then she just went back. And I just thought Elizabeth Olsen, all the marbles for her, honestly, like what she did. But I felt like he directed her very well in terms of also adding that horror element of terms of, being suspenseful, but also in a sense also being sinister in her abilities with the visual effects of the magic that he did in this film. I thought visually, I agree with you guys, the points that you made.
Nat or John, what y'all's thoughts on Sam Raimi's sensibilities on this film? And
Go ahead, Nat.
It wouldn't surprise me if he took, elements from WandaVision and kind of like continued in that vein, because of course it was in there in the movie anyway. It was pretty much a continuation of Wanda's story, but it's just like the sinisterness of it, and just like her expressions as she's like doing her magic, and also just how she's trying to process and trying to be determined to get her kids hook or by crook in another multiverse, and doesn't matter what the consequences of that is. Like, it's just that continuing vein of it, and it just makes sense that he would continue in that vein, as well as it seems like there was a lot of elements of motherhood, because even with America's story, it was like, okay, well, she lost her moms,
Right.
and Scarlet Witch lost her kids. It was kind of like y'all could have had a moment, but he didn't go that route. But it would have been nice if he did. Oh no.
No, you're on point. Yeah, there's stuff like
Yeah.
that. I mean, the line that kept bringing up over and over again. Are you happy? Are you happy?
Yeah.
To an extent, there are moments I'm like, okay, I know what you're doing, but then this is, I'm like, all right, you lost me. You lost that train of thought, that
Right.
thought provoking scene.
Yeah. It was,
Yeah, I see whether you're talking about that, but to me, it was all like what I said with the strength of this film was that each of the main characters, with Stephen Strange and Wanda, that they are very flawed characters, but to the point where you're not questioning their morality, questioning their morals, what they stand for. Are you questioning also the decisions that they make and how even the dialogue they have with each other about like you saying, hey, America, her sacrifice is just be a constant thing for the rest of the multiverse. Was that? And it's like, well, you can kiss the lunchbox goodbye because that's what our enemy uses. That's the same logic they use. The same
It's
logic
not.
you use. The same logic you used to get when you gave Thanos the time stone. And I was like,
that is not the same thing. That is.
It's not right. But like no, it's right, and that's what I'm saying to a point of like it's corruption, but also in the same time, like I felt throughout this movie when they get to a point when you're seeing alternate versions of yourself, realizing that both of them lack self-awareness. And as their characters, because one, you have Stephen Strange not realizing he's an asshole, saying like, well, are you happy? Yeah, I am happy. But then when you actually see a sinister version of yourself, like, you know what? I realize, Christine, I love you, but we will never work. Right. And that's to me at the whole, when he was fixing his watch at the end, that became him as like whole as a character, where it's like, you know what? I'm complete and being self-aware of who I am and not, and moving forward. Right. When you see Wanda, when she's seeing the alternate version of herself at the end, not realizing what she has done, still the lack of self-awareness as to what point she's driven to. Now, I still have issues because I understand the previous lady that you mentioned about WandaVision. To me, I felt my criticism with the writers is like, I think they haven't even watched WandaVision, in my opinion.
Sam Raimi barely did.
Yes. Based on the decisions
I
they
don't
made.
blame them.
Yeah. So
wow.
Wow.
Look,
that's
WandaVision would have been an hour and a half.
We're
and
not
did
gonna
the
go
exact
there.
same thing. And it had terrible. All right.
Hold on. We gotta
I'm insulted.
slow it down. Slow it down. Peace in court.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna speak on Sam because y'all got very passionate on that whole thing, but I'm gonna speak on Sam
briefly, John. Briefly.
Chewing up all my time. No. So Sam in general, I am not a huge fan of Sam. I'm very vocal on that. To me, hot take, didn't like his Spider-Man trilogy, thought it was boring as hell. So
I love you, John.
Right. When it came to
my
this,
pearls.
it's just because
the devil's a liar.
His direction worked on some instances. Most it did not. Y'all brought up the whole mirror situation. There was a lot of moments where things just took me out of the moment, the scene, and all that good stuff because it was all good. Her coming out that damn dong or gong, whatever the hell it's called, whatever that shit is.
Those are two different things.
I'm sure. Listen, I'm sure she came out of both of them for sure. That's how she got here. So it was ridiculous. Like, I'm like, what the hell am I watching? This looks bad. But that's Sam Raimi. So it's just in terms of his mark on this film, some things worked for me, most didn't. You can tell a lot of gaps in rewrites, rethinking, reshoots, everything just happened. And that ending, like you said, you can tell it wasn't complete because it just happened. And in the very next damn end credit scene, it's all happy and that means nothing anymore. So I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. So it just, some things worked, most didn't. And I feel like Derrickson would have been, completely just amazing to stay. Because his presence and absence, his absence was greatly missed in this film, to be honest with you.
How do you really feel?
Hey, so wait, no. So we got
little bit.
keep it on. We got to keep it on task. Because the reason why I say that, because I know that John is gonna chew this next part up, and that's why I was talking about for you, Jedi Mike. So the next question is about this: did this film deliver on opening up your perspective of what Marvel can do with the multiverse? And I'm gonna give my backdrop with this. Did it feel teased? Did it feel like completely realized and opened up? Did it feel closed? The reason why I asked this is because there's been multiple different films now, and I'll say one that I think is the best. But you got Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
You got Loki. You got No Way Home. You got What If, and you have WandaVision. And technically, I guess Far From Home, Peter Parker brought up multiverse, but it was play on words because Kevin Feige loves to tease us for no stupid reason. But this was supposed to be the big multiverse moment. Yeah. And did it deliver? I want anybody to go. And I mean, if you felt like it did, don't feel slighted. Like, I want you to bring it up because I think other people that are listening to this right now want to know.
On topic.
I'll say this. I'll say this.
One at a time.
I'll say this. In this day and age, I appreciate what a logo, what a title says. That's just the cinephile in me. I adore it. Into the Multiverse of Madness is an awesome title. This movie was madness, but it was barely a multiverse. We montage, compilation.
There you go.
We were like in 2 or 3 realities, and that was it. And we like within 5-10 seconds, we went through different multiverses that we already saw in the trailer, which the marketing, that's another thing.
Don't
my God.
To me, it's weird. I got home and I was writing down my thoughts, and I'm like, what's another title that would have made more sense to this and would have been more appropriate and would have not teased or set high expectations? And to me, I just came up with a simple one called Doctor Strange meets the Scarlet Witch. It's simple. It sounds like an old Universal monster movie, which, I mean, there are horror elements in this, and it was basically about 2 characters. And to me, it's odd because I feel like in the Multiverse of Madness, you could have still used that as a mini series or another movie where you just spend the whole more than 2 hours going to different realities for whatever it is, a MacGuffin or personal stakes. It's weird because we'll talk about it later whenever you want, Sam, about the judgment sequence, the Illuminati stuff. To me, it wasn't a slap in the face. I had fun with it. It was cool that they pulled the trigger on this stuff, but they did pull the rug. And again, I was so more focused on like staying connected with the characters of what Strange was going through and what Wanda was going through. So I don't think it fully delivered on the title. It's an awesome title, but this one didn't deliver all the way. And it's odd because they have been doing this for the past few series. I mean, What If, WandaVision, Loki, what Spider-Man No Way Home did, and I don't think you can do. Maybe you can. From my perspective, if I had to give my 2 cents at Marvel Studios, I'd say you might not want to do a movie concerning the multiverse that's barely over 2 hours. It doesn't have to be a 3-hour movie. It doesn't have to be 2 hours and 45. I'm just saying that, like, add a few more minutes just to make stuff like not slowly drag, but stay on character. So that's for me right now about that.
Oh, we got another member of TeamJVS.
Yes,
hey.
Yes, sir.
What's going on, Keaton?
How's it going, y'all?
What's going on, brother?
What up?
Not much.
We're talking about the most epic multiverse Marvel experience, and I know you have a lot to say, but nah, all seriousness,
I really don't. Honestly, now that you called it most epic, I think I might just leave.
I don't know what to say, honestly.
I think I might just leave. I don't think this is the chat for me.
No, it is, man. I was warming you up.
No, we're I talked about the baseline, Keaton, that this was supposed to be the movie that was opening us up to the idea of multiverse, even though they've been spewing about it for like a lot of different series, and even with, of course, No Way Home, and then before that with Spider-Verse, which to me, Spider-Verse is the best multiverse Marvel film. If you want to say it's Sony film, I think it's the best version of what multiverse and the capacity of what multiverse should be.
Absolutely.
Even the crazier thing, they still had its own defined story in creating. Anyway, that's for a whole nother thing. I'm not gonna go there. But we were talking about whether or not this opened you up to the idea of where Marvel can take the multiverse, or did it close your idea of it, or did it kind of just feel like it was just a tease for no reason? But yeah, that's the question we're going through right now. This is heads up.
It opened me to the idea that they just need to pay Sony to keep making Spider-Man, because this ain't working.
My God,
Keaton.
Oh, so look. When I came in, you brought up Spider-Man. So
flag on the play. Flag on the play.
You said Spider-Man,
flag on the play.
Me.
Flag.
Not me.
Silence their truth.
Flag on the play.
It was. That was a messy movie. That was a messy movie. You could really, and the thing about this whole multiverse, the whole multiverse thing is, it's a great concept. But the only reason it's a great concept is because we want the X-Men. Like, that's the reason the multiverse is a great concept. We don't need to sit here and pretend like, oh wow, what's the geriatric Doctor Strange doing? What's gray-haired Doctor Strange doing? What I wonder what's going on. Like, because they trolled the hell out of us in WandaVision with that whole Quicksilver thing, right? So going into this movie, I didn't have any expectations, because I'm like, all right, I see how they trolled us in WandaVision, so I'm not gonna expect anything. And I ain't even get that, because first off, you don't call a movie The Multiverse of Madness and then give us two universes. One of them is already bombed out and depleted, right?
Did I not say that? Did I not say that?
Right. So
I was gonna
right
say
off the bat, you lying in the title, right? It's Doctor Strange and the other universe with the dude with dreads, right? Like, that's what they could have called it, and it would have been more truthful. On top of that, you spent how many episodes of WandaVision, and it's like, okay, she's getting better, she's learning. Things are getting better. And then at the very, very end of all that trolling you did in WandaVision, it's like, look, y'all, she got this book and she can hear her kids. And then in the next movie, we see her, she's just killing dozens of people. Why Marvel hate their women so much, man? You already you killed Black Widow.
Wait, I gotta think against that one.
That's a red card.
Happy Mother's Day.
You killed Black Widow.
That's opening a whole new thing.
The only other kind of OG Avenger that we got. Now you're pretty much doing away with her and her whole. She cannot have a plot line that doesn't have to do with her man or her kids.
So okay, we gotta pause. We gotta pause because
there's so many things I want to jump on, Sam. I can't.
We gotta pause. We gotta pause.
Turn down for what?
You thought I was right.
There's so many things I want to jump in. I don't do good with structure.
Look, I'm sorry I was late. I did have a lot to say.
You weren't late, man. You weren't late.
No, you gotta.
Keaton just closed the show, in my opinion. Keaton said everything he needed to say. I'm good. I'm good with this.
Yo, this honestly topped his Star Wars: The Last Jedi review.
So we gotta bring it back real quick, because if we go down this road, we will end up being like 2 o'clock in the morning. We're not gonna do that this time. But no, Keaton, everything that you said, I think came from a real place, and I think it's a good talking point, because I don't even think I have this as a question, but I'll bring it up because I thought about it. When we knew that the universe that they went to had a Professor Xavier, right? And he's evidently a mutant. And that same Wanda that she possessed was in that same universe. I was kind of thinking, oh wow, well, most likely she maybe has a family. Maybe she's got connected family
I
that
know your
the
pops.
universe version that we don't have in our
Right.
universe, 616. I was like, okay, she's not gonna feel the need to have these children or Vision because she'll see in a different reality. Like she actually has family, actual
Sister.
family, like another sister, a father, and what that actually is. And I was kind of like, this is gonna be crazy, but they don't go that route, and it's almost as though I don't know why I watched WandaVision because it didn't seem as though Wanda learned anything, and then it kind of fast forwarded to she's doing the same exact thing she did in the last one. So
That's
any of
the
you guys
problem.
that really loved WandaVision, right?
Yeah.
Which I was back and forth with WandaVision, but I kind of was like, it was some great performances, great ideas. I hated what they did with the trolling, to be honest. And I hated that the concept in WandaVision was that the moment that we realized that Wanda survived, it wasn't even so much the stone. That there was something in her that was awakened because of the stone. And they talked about it because both her and her brother survived the same exact way, but they never showed what the ramifications were. They never showed like, okay, the reason why they survived because they're mutants. They don't go into that, and they're holding it back. And when you have Reed Richards in this Scott Stern movie, you have Mr. Fantastic, you got Professor Xavier in this movie.
Yeah,
I don't understand why at this point you have an actual.
They're about to have a connect.
Why is it that we don't just open this up? Because I thought that somebody who said it that the whole point of this multiverse is open up the idea that
to bring the X-Men in.
Of this,
Yeah, that was me. I said that. Yeah,
everything
Because
is
the logic
still mad.
idea.
But not only that, all we got was a 1 second line. This is the definition of an incursion. An incursion occurs when the bridge between two universes erodes, either annihilating one or both realities. And what we got at the end, a random character that if you don't know the comics, you don't know who she is, saying she started an incursion and we gotta fix it. Who started the incursion? What'd you do?
Yeah.
Strange
Who
did
didn't
that.
care?
Well, I guess this was one of my questions because the next question that I did have was like the biggest point. Like Scarlet Witch is the Nexus, right? They talked about that concept. They didn't do nothing with it in this movie.
That's dumb too.
So
wait. So many points. I just want to talk on.
Hold on, let me finish the question. So,
America's
like,
Nexus.
bring
being,
her
right?
up as an example. The Illuminati and how, specifically were with the Illuminati in this, and what that meant for that universe and everybody connected to it. Like, do we have a different version of the Hulk? What does that look like? And then just the different multiverse worlds that they don't explore on top of America Chavez. So all those different things, to me, those were negative points. Even though I love what Elizabeth Olsen did with Scarlet Witch. I thought she was on it, but her being refined and updated and changed because of the multiverse they didn't go anything with it. But I wanted to bring up to y'all because all those different points, those are issues that I have with the film, and it's almost like they don't really do anything with it outside of just showing it to us. So that was actually one of the next questions that I had, but you guys can talk on that as opposed to the rabbit hole we were going to go down.
But it's not even that. It's not even that. It's the part of, like you said, the whole is the trolling at this point. You did this twice to us, right? And then even Kevin Feige was in the press conference talking like, if you watch WandaVision, if you watch Loki, the series Loki, all the thing that Sylvie that did at the end is completely irrelevant, not even mentioned in this film, right?
Yeah.
That's the point. It's not the fact. It's not about having your speculation becoming your expectation, right? Because that's a lot of you guys, like all you guys thinking we're gonna see Doctor Doom or some Daredevil or some other stuff. Now y'all tripping. We weren't seeing that in this film, right?
Right.
But in this, the whole thing of at least a mentioning of Jonathan Majors, whose name is Nathaniel Richards, who's a descendant of Reed Richards. Him saying, "Oh, I have children," XYZ, right? Him saying the fact of the mutants. Of Professor Xavier coming through is when he said, "Wanda Maximoff, you have been taken by your future self." Like, it's almost like he didn't know who she was, but I know your daddy. But they're just like it did that to me. I just felt like there were so things they could have not have done. It's not about the whole speculation. It's just that how long are we going to wait till Avengers Secret Wars that supposedly we say is going to happen? Billy and Tommy are not even real anymore in this reality. and they're still trying to build Young Avengers. Like,
right. And see, that's the thing. And you're absolutely right about that, because everybody that I've been hearing that's like, oh man, this movie, don't worry, y'all, it was just the puzzle piece, because in 3 years we're gonna look back and this movie gonna be great. I don't want to wait 3 years. I just paid $10 to see this mid-ass movie. Like, I don't, and they're like, oh, don't worry, y'all. It's a bigger picture. You got to activate your third eye like Doctor Strange. No, just give me the multiverse of madness that you said you were gonna do in the title.
Yeah, it's
multiverse of distress.
Wait. I've been trying to say for a second.
Go ahead.
I think that
everybody give everybody a turn. So next person go after Ann.
Well, no, I'm not trying to jump in, but I think my biggest issue is, and I've seen this with a lot of writers, like things being written in the last year, is I think they're excited about a multiverse concept because they can do a lot of different things, but I don't think they actually understand what a multiverse is. When you say this is the only thing in the whole multiverse, or this is the only person that did this in the multiverse, you don't understand the concept. The concept is every time you make a choice, there's multiple other things other universes and realities being formed. So I think that they're getting really excited about the multiverse without thinking about what this means for your larger story. And I think that's probably the problem I have with how they're doing Wanda. Yeah, it's cool to see her do stuff, but how does this affect the larger world when you have Wanda in a magic system that has no rules? Because really, where's the tension come from? We don't. You can do anything. You turned water into wine at the wedding. That's a cool thing to do. And I get the joke. Can you turn everything into other things? Because you should be anybody almost instantly. This should not be a problem at this point. You could turn someone's blood into wine. They're dead. I feel like when you have a magic system that's so loose that you don't know what they can do and what they can't do, it becomes pointless. I feel no tension. You're just doing stuff at this point on film. And I think with Wanda, my other issue with this and WandaVision is they kept giving her excuses for what she did in WandaVision. At the end of WandaVision, Monica goes, they'll have no idea what you gave up for him. Monica, she mind raped the whole town for weeks. There are little kids stuck in their rooms, conscious that they're stuck. Like
she yeeted her through the fourth wall. Four walls. She yeeted her out of the hex. Monica. It's like she pushed her out 3 walls. Actually 4.
Yeah, she did this stuff, and I get that Wanda's. I do like.
She killed her mother in a different reality.
I do like that they're going through this. Wanda's going through a very visual representation of dissociative disorders, which I really like. Being outside of ourself, memory loss, things like that, issues professionally and socially. Like, I like all those things, but they keep giving her a pass. And in this, Dr. Strange goes, "Oh, I'm not here about Westview. You put those things right." Dr. Strange, she did not put those things right. Like, I don't get what you're saying. Like you threw me out of this. Loki and Thor just touched down on Earth, and you threw Loki in a portal for hours. But Wanda takes over a whole town, and you just now get around to say anything to her. It just.
That's because you're scared.
Maybe.
Let's be real here.
Sam, I'll say this. I concur with you that I like what they. To me, I wasn't like, what? How dare they do this to Wanda in this movie? I was willing to go on the journey, and again, I can sympathize with her that she was a mother. She never really had kids, but that was her moment of peace. That she had a family, and she wants to be with her kids again. And it's weird because as much as I could understand and empathize with her, I felt that this whole journey was a repetitive of WandaVision. I like WandaVision. I know there's some scenes or 2 episodes you can put into one and all that stuff. But that show was an event each week to follow it, and I wasn't running through the Reddits and going, "It's Mephisto." I was just like, "Let's see what the show presents to me." So I like that I had a journey with her of mourning and coming to terms with it, and it feeling like that. It's like, but let's do it again. And if you've watched WandaVision, hopefully it doesn't feel repetitive. And again, as someone who says that I really like this movie. Her journey feels repetitive to an extent. There's a scene that I appreciate of other Wanda telling her, know that there will be love. I'm like, that's a good scene. It's a good dialogue. But for 2 hours, it felt repetitive after me revisiting the show right before I went to go to the movies. And listen, it's with the whole teasing of multiverse. I said about Endgame, about taking time before doing this. To me, I would have thought that I would have thought that after Ralph Boner, they would have been like, okay, let's really think of what we're gonna do, because we intentionally brought back an actor who was known for playing an X-Men character. We're going out of our way to doing this. After finishing this whole Infinity Saga, we're gonna take a piss at people. Now, for me, after Endgame, they have the right and chance to swing and try different stuff. But like I'll tell people, they try to swing for different stuff. It could either fall flat on their ass, or it could be something unique and different and something exciting.
Yeah, and I mean,
this one is ooh.
I mean, I guess that's subjective for different people. Different people felt differently about this. Again, not knowing who any of these characters are, and then just following along with, not seeing the trailer. I think it could be different for your experience. But Nat, I see you looking like, what is your thoughts here?
Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts.
And John, I'm not forgetting you. I just know where you're going. I can feel it. I can feel it in the atmosphere.
I can totally understand why someone would be frustrated that, with what happened with Scarlet Witch, it was pretty much repeating WandaVision. But think of the progression of it. She lost Vision. That was the focus of WandaVision. And now she has a hint that she can get kids. That's a progression.
Yes.
So it makes sense that she would progress to being obsessed with getting kids in the Multiverse of Madness. So I get it, but I think in a way it's a progression. And unfortunately, some people don't get better. And as much as I wanted her to be happy, out of all the universes, did Scarlet Witch die in a universe and she could have at least, been a mother to those kids? Like, you're telling me there's none of the universes had that?
Right.
None?
Right.
Yeah.
That's why it didn't make sense. That's why it didn't make sense.
If only this multiverse had an answer.
Um,
If
there has to be a
or
universe
this
where there's a
multiverse
live
had another Vision. Where's
the
Vision
kids,
at?
and no Wanda.
yeah, no other Vision. Like,
Vision.
come on,
So-
man. Really?
Thank you.
And
And that's what
Wanda,
made the whole cameos so bad. Like, I had a hint of what Inhumans could have been instead of that crap ass show. Sorry, excuse the language.
No,
I
you good?
had like
You're
5
right.
seconds of Black Bolt. 5 seconds.
Man,
Yeah.
I was
They made
hurt.
him incompetent. They made him look
this one is on
incompetent. at
fire.
that.
Keep going, ma'am. Keep going.
Yeah,
hurt.
go ahead.
Say it with your chest.
Say it.
That's all
preach
good.
it.
Yeah. So I mean, it was like we could have had them live, and it would have been opened up so many possibilities with that particular universe and other universes. But why you had to kill them off? No. Why you tease me like that? No. I don't like it.
I was the only one in my theater who shouted "Anson Mount." I
I
recognized
know,
that.
I was like,
Yeah,
dang,
everyone was like,
it would have been
who's that?
great
I was like,
if they
oh,
gave
shoot.
him better material. Come
And
on.
Yeah.
Again,
me and JT were the only people in the theater. Were like, when Black Bolt showed up, like, oh shoot! It's like, who's that? You know what that is? Like,
Natasha, I understand, because to me the same sentiments was her line in WandaVision where boys, thanks for choosing me to be your mom. Again, it's a small detailed thing, but then you're like this the whole time. And the whole Anson Mount thing, I was just like, they brought him back, gave him the suit, gave him a tragic moment where he says, "I'm sorry," and kills Doctor Strange. But then it's anyway. Somebody else go, please. Before
I completely agree with that. That's why I was hurt. I was like, dang, because I that would have been a great human.
the wings too.
So, Brandon or John?
So can we get into? I know you say you eventually you're going to get into, the Illuminati and all of that jazz. So I feel like this kind of bleeds into the Illuminati overall. And so I guess one thing, and and listening to what everybody has to say, and I get what the what your gripes are. I completely understand them, and I'm with you, Nat, in terms of what you were saying with that progression. But there are a couple of things to keep in mind that as to why I did not have, spoiler alert, I did not have an issue with them taking out the Illuminati, is that correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't the Illuminati do some stupid stuff over the course of like, you know, the comics in terms of, you know, how egotistical, you know, some of their decisions are in terms of things that they do? Like, hold on, pause, hold on,
World War Hulk. Yeah, absolutely.
So, like, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't they bring upon the Hulk's?
I was about to say World War Hulk.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
Didn't they bring upon the Hulk's wrath with Planet Hulk and World War Hulk and him coming back and destroying everybody because of something that they did?
Yeah,
like they do stuff all the time where yes, you know, all the people that are involved in the Illuminati, you know, are formidable and, you know, revered in terms of who they are, but time and time again, they do some really jacked up stuff. You know,
are you saying every team that does something stupid deserves to be killed off screen? Because we could go.
I'm just saying. So, like, the reason why I bring that up is because I know a lot of people have brought up like the instance of Reed Richards. You know, you know, he got killed, and you know, the first couple of minutes, he's supposed to be the smartest guy, but I'm like, you know, he's done, you know, over the course of comics, he's done some stuff too that, you know, have been kind of questionable in terms of things that have happened. I'm just saying, just overall with the Illuminati and, you know, how they're portrayed, because, you know, the reason why I bring that up, I also am thinking of that moment where they're underestimating what Scarlet Witch is capable of. And, you know, in their universe, you know, where we're under the impression that, you know, that Wanda, you know, isn't, you know, the major threat that she is in the 616 universe, right? So
this is not the 616.
So
I know, according to what they have in the film, I'm basing on what they say in the film, not off a technicality of whether it's the comics or the movies. Okay, so thinking of what they explain in the movie, if I'm basing it off of what they're telling me in the movie, you know, she isn't the threat, at least according to them, of what we have in a 616 universe.
It's muddy.
It's really hard. It's really.
Go ahead.
I don't want to cut you off, Brandon, but I want you to keep going. But the problem with this whole entire thing is that WandaVision presented that she's the Nexus. In every single universe, she's the same set. She's progressing the whole entire way. Like, it's not any. It shouldn't be any different. And no, I'm saying they said it. They said it in WandaVision. And so what I'm saying is that even in this movie, it wasn't as though Wanda, like, she did all those things as the Wanda that is in their universe. All she did was just possess the girl. That's it. So it's hard, bro. Like, the logic in the way that Kevin is progressing this to try to hold back mutants, to try to hold back surprises where they're gonna go. They're shooting themselves in the foot with presenting so many different things, and the execution doesn't work sometimes. But I want you to keep going. But I just kept on going that through my head because
you made a good point.
Absolutely.
But I'm just saying, overall, there are a couple of things I'm keeping in mind. One, you know, how the Illuminati, you know, things that they have done over the course of the comics and kind of jacked up stuff that they've done, and, you know, how they approach things. Like, another thing that I can even think of, like, correct me if I'm wrong, even outside of what I'm thinking of the Hulk, wasn't there an instance where, speaking of incursions, and if memory serves, there was an instance where they were deciding at one point to destroy a universe, and, you know, Cap wasn't like with it, and Strange, like, basically, if I recall, made him forget about it, and then he ended up, like, if I recall, maybe you guys can correct me out there in the comments, like, that something that they made Cap forget about, you know, that instance of some kind of questionable act that they were, you know, considering as a possibility when they were just having that moment of the incursions. So, like, I'm just thinking of going back to what I was saying with the film and how the Illuminati is portrayed. And again, I understand what you're saying, Sam, but still picturing, like, how they are executing or how they're portraying that team and how they are going about how they deal with different, you know, situations. And, you know, mind you, sometimes there's a gray area in terms of, you know, how you're going to execute, you know, those decisions. But I feel in terms of how they portrayed them, that it was something in line of, okay, this is what I would expect of the Illuminati. Sometimes they go and half cocked when it comes to decisions that they make, and they don't always think things all the way through, or if they don't think it all the way through, sometimes they don't always make the ideal choice, and it ends up biting them in the ass afterwards. So
And that's why Black Panther didn't join. He like,
I was
No,
gonna say that exactly.
So this is the thing that
and we have, and on top of that too, we have. And speaking of, and then I'll be good. Speaking of, all these characters, biting the bullet, your flavors, as you said, Jedi. Speaking of it earlier, don't we have a multiverse of Illuminati? That's just one.
Yeah.
If I remember, there's one universe of Illuminati. So
Yeah.
we can still have Illuminati.
We didn't see them.
We did, and this is the general audience's first. This is the general audience's first depiction of who Black Bolt is, for example. So going forward in the zeitgeist, this is Black Bolt, an incompetent that for some reason the blast goes out the top of his head to the front of his mouth, and he needs his voice to kill Wanda, which he doesn't. And he went down faster. Black Bolt went down faster than Captain Marvel went down.
I was about to say Captain Marvel.
I'm still miffed about Captain Marvel.
Man, I'm gonna say they've been getting black women on this movie though. You saw the other one that took out the Darkhold and burnt, man.
Yes. Oh my God.
They
I can't. I just
But
it hurts me.
Cut one of Wong's restraints, then go stab the Darkhold. Why leave Wong tied up?
we're gonna get into the death and destruction a little bit later, but I do want to bring up something that Brandon talked about when it came to the Illuminati. I think that, to Brandon's point, this isn't the 616 version of the Illuminati just yet.
Right.
And I guess one thing you could take out of it is that Doctor Strange got to witness how amazing they could be, but then also how they could be their own worst enemy. Yes. And it may be allowing him to be a more well-rounded version, and he may create another version of Illuminati, to make it more refined. And he's like, okay, we need this piece. Okay, we need to watch out for this. So maybe that's something that they're alluding to, is that, okay, we're going to have the best worlds of this later. But right now, this is this version. This is his first impression of what an Illuminati could be, or even the importance of it. Because I don't think that he thought of them as something like, oh, wow, I don't know who y'all are, but he sees the importance of them now. But
I mean, up to this point, he's been a loner too. He hasn't really, and honestly, he's not really an Avenger. He's like, it's the Avengers and Doctor Strange. He's not necessarily been a part of the team. And so, to your point, it gives him an opportunity to see what that looks like.
Right. And he was throwing jokes at him, and it wasn't until they brought him down to earth, like, yo, we had to kill you in our universe. So that's a cool, dynamic that it's just like.
And they also lied. They lied about it. It's like, you built a statue.
But this is the thing, though. You're a normal moviegoer, right? You don't know nothing about these comics, right?
Yeah.
And you see this movie, you're like, who are these jokers? Oh, okay, this is cool. Okay, I know. I used to look at that show back in the day. I know who Professor Xavier is. Oh, man, Professor Xavier got his neck snapped by this chick. They got Millie Wop. The Illuminati is effectively dead. Now, you go 5 movies later, or maybe 5 years or 10 years later, and they recreate the Illuminati. The first impression that the general audience have is these jokers got Millie Wop. And we've seen the Defenders. We've seen the Defenders. You know what I'm saying? I'm not knocking the Defenders, but I'm saying I'm using them as an example. And so people's perspective is that, oh man, they got killed. So you go and reintroduce a brand new version of the Illuminati that has the brand new Black Panther with Namor and with a new Reed Richards that's hopefully the same actor, and then maybe have, I don't know who they're gonna get for Professor Xavier. But I'm just saying that, say they do that, it's gonna lose its effectiveness from a general audience person, because they were like, I mean, this is cool, but you have one time to make a real impression. And they use this movie, in my personal opinion, as a selling point, and at the same time to make it a glorified superhero horror film. Because horror films, and that's going to be the next question I'm going to, but horror films, anybody can catch that smoke. Anybody and everybody can catch smoke in horror films.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what Sam wanted. And I mean, for me, I was like, this is hilarious, but it's messed up. I can't believe that. But then I was like, I thought about it later. I was like, dang, Professor Xavier just got stomped. Black Bolt
Again.
got,
In the second plane. In the
Black
second
Bolt
plane.
got Neo'd and blew his head out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's
Captain Marvel got cut in
so
half.
I'm saying I'm bringing that up from a general audience perspective. Like, this is their first impression of the Illuminati, and it's like, yeah, they can course correct and make a different one, but I don't know. It's a hard sell. I get where Kevin can make it work, but it's gonna be harder to sell them later on. Like, I don't know.
Taking the long
It's
road.
hard. It's
I don't
hard
know,
to
bro.
sell stakes. It's really hard to sell stakes in a multiverse movie when you know now that you're gonna see all of these characters again eventually. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, yeah, like how many times we done seen Professor X get killed?
In every different way possible.
like so whenever they do bring him around again, I'm gonna be like, oh, I mean, if he dies, he dies. Like, I'll be fine. Like, I'll deal.
Drago.
Like, because like it's one of those things. I'm like, man, they got rocked, and they got rocked quick, right? Like, oh wow, well maybe we'll see another universe's Iron Man. I'm like, well, we've seen him die before. This certainly won't hurt as much, right? Like, and so it's gonna be. I think it is a little bit difficult for the stakes to remain the same, because unless you can do it over the span of 20 years where you can give us 3 Spider-Men and they better not kill a single one of them, right? But right now, I just don't care. Like, I don't like anything in that movie that they had at the end of it. I didn't walk out like excited. I didn't walk out looking forward to anything. I just didn't care. And then Charlize Theron showed up, and I'm like, oh man, she did that in the Fast and Furious movie too. Like, I've seen this post-credit scene before. I know what they're doing. Vin Diesel's gonna show up, right? Oh, he's already in it. So who they gonna bring in next?
Like, family.
It's I'm getting like I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I just don't care. I just don't really care.
To jump off of that, I was gonna say
is Bruce Campbell. That's the only person I care about in this movie was Bruce Campbell.
Right,
Cool
right. Who is this?
That was so stupid.
Are they merging it with like Snow White now? Like, what's going on?
I don't even know who she was. Like, did she even introduce herself?
dare.
I don't know who she is. Who the hell is
Yeah.
she?
How dare you? It's clear.
Yeah.
That's the future white.
It's all owned by Disney. They might do it.
But I was saying, speaking of Professor X, you know, to a point that you were making, you know, honestly, the only way that they could go, if we're really thinking of all the portrayals of Professor X, is that they can either sideline him or they could kill him. You know, they could kill him because they need to, you know, in the essence of what, let me explain, in the essence of what happened in this film, because they need to show, you know, how formidable someone else is. I don't enjoy that element when they have someone off just to show how powerful someone else is. But you know, being sidelined too, because they don't know what to do with them. Like, you know, if you look at any of like the prior like X-Men movies, a lot of times he gets sidelined. The reason he gets sidelined is because honestly, he could have solved the problem in like 2 minutes and we wouldn't have a movie. Like, because of the abilities that he has, he could have just resolved everything. He could have resolved the situation with, you know, Magneto and the Brotherhood in that first movie, and we wouldn't have had them going to the Statue of Liberty. The second movie, they had to sideline him with Mesmero because like he could have resolved that situation without them having to go, you know, all the way to the dam and having what happened to Jean Grey. And I mean, it's even been documented where a lot of times they say, oh, well, we have to figure out something, you know, to happen to him because otherwise, like, you know, we have that issue of, you know, people knowing that he could just, you know, solve the problem immediately versus us actually having, you know, a third act. So, you know, you have that instance there. You know, kind of to your point of what you're saying, Keaton, is I want to say it's more issue of that I feel like, you know, folks have had an issue with the Illuminati is just that idea. And I'll agree with that, is that I understand that frustration of, you know, characters being put up, you know, sacrificed or being put in as you know, just characters to be off. It's another term I'm looking for, but I'm brain farting on it right now.
Cannon fodder?
Cannon fodder. Thank you.
fodder.
Cannon fodder. Basically, you know, for the sake of showing how formidable another character is. So there is an element of that, you know, that I understand, and I understand the frustration, you know, there. But I still digress to, you know, what I was explaining before of those other, you know, caveats when it comes to, you know, those teams and those characters.
So you make a really good point about the Xavier. They have to sideline somebody that powerful, and I get that. And the part of me agrees with that. I think there's other things you could have done, but that's also my issue going forward with Doctor Strange and Wanda. Like, where do you put them now? Like, what situations do you put them at where somebody on Captain America's level is useful in an event with Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange, where they can literally do anything? Like, what can they not do? And so you kind of made Wanda was interesting as a glass cannon. You know what I mean? Where she had all this power, but you could still shoot her in the head. Like you know. And I feel like I don't know how interesting she's going to be going forward in any kind of like low level movie type.
I do. I have an idea. I don't know if they're going to go this route, but one thing that I have a theory of what they may try to do is, if anyone, and I may be the only party here that is, if I'm thinking of, you know, the Buffyverse or Angel and all of that. So picturing, you know, what happened if we're thinking of like Willow, like what happened with Willow, where, you know, she got all of this knowledge of, you know, studying, you know, all of these texts and getting amplified with all of these texts that she was learning. And then, you know, when she kind of found herself on the deep end, you know, she kind of had to pull back a little bit. And, you know, you always have that danger of her, you know, dipping back in, or kind of like what you have when someone is addicted, you know, getting and relapsing,
so using magic as a drug.
Relapsing into that amount of power. But the danger is her going off the deep end versus her kind of holding back and not using those abilities.
But at this point, realistically, and everybody can answer this question because I'm about to go to this next question. It's going to trigger everybody. Can we honestly like trust this woman again? Because I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, like, I mean, I looked at the Loki show. I like the Loki show, but Loki tried to enslave all of humanity, right? But when Wanda, you know, enslaved the little town, and she subconsciously did it, and then she realized she did it, and then she still kept going with it. I was like, okay, redemption story. But in the things that she does in this movie, in different universes,
yeah,
it's cruel.
Can you, any of you, like, look at her as an Avenger anymore? Can any of you look at her as like, oh, okay, she's all right? I would be more willing to take that other version of Wanda and make her our new Scarlet Witch before the 616 version, because I just can't. I can't look at her like that. I don't care what she does at this point.
They'll bring her back. They'll bring her back in when it's like a world-ending threat. Because honestly, after this movie, I don't want to hear anything from Doctor Strange about him being the Sorcerer Supreme. She's the Sorcerer Supreme. The way that she spanked them all over that screen through that other universe, she the Sorcerer Supreme. So whenever there is another world threat, they'll bring her back then, and they'll do the whole thing like, I don't trust her, blah, 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 blah. And maybe she'll sacrifice herself back.
Hey, they may switch it all up and make her...
Right.
I was gonna say they may switch it up and may do something different with you know, the teams they do, because they don't follow all of these, you know, different teams to a T. You know, you have all these dark characters with the Midnight Suns. They may, you know, put her there, even though, you know, you have they may make that a possibility because you have all these, you know, quote unquote anti-heroes that, you know, function in the world of magic or supernatural.
In the comics, she usually goes by because she's mentally unstable, and so they kind of give her a pass on that. And then also she's Magneto's daughter, so you're not.
I was about to say, let her follow her brother. I mean,
go to Genosha. Yeah, when they have Genosha, send her there because humanity, wherever, they won't accept her. So take her to Genosha, where her sister Polaris.
Right.
But what made her unredeemable to me was when Wanda was like, "Hey, I get you want to go to your kids. Why do you got to kill her? Just make her take you to the kids." She's like, "They might get sick. I might have to go get." I was like,
"Yeah, that's where it's
like it's really hard.
To
come back."
This next question I'm about to ask, and I'm giving John first ring at this. I gave him the question early on, and Jedi Mike's going to follow him right after that. This is the question, and anybody in the comments, y'all can answer any of this as well. This question is based on the story and the story alone. These are different questions, but they're all surrounding Wanda. So we talked about some of these. One of the first one was Wanda did this already. Didn't this already happen in WandaVision? Now, I think Nat came up with a good point. It's a progression because, her need from one thing she was obsessed with to having something that she really knows she really wants, because she didn't think to try to find a different version of Vision for whatever reason. Anyway, Wanda killed everyone for her imaginary children. Just let that sink in. Wanda didn't possess other versions or bodies that live in different universes and just be with the children. What I mean by that is, the reason why I asked that question is that we heard that she could go and possess any of them at any time and live through them for a long period. She killed a whole Illuminati in the amount of time that she could have been just chilling with the kids, but she chose not to do that. Why control America? Why not control America's mind? She needed to go and kill America and have America's powers, but she can control anybody's mind that she wants to.
She did so.
But I'm saying on a long-term basis. Forever.
Bad writing.
Forever.
Yes.
No, I'm just bringing it up because these are all different questions that I had about Wanda surrounding. And then the last one was, should the multiverse have shown the first mutants being used and connected as Wanda's family? Any of these questions I want John and Jedi Mike to tackle, because I've kind of like kept John to the side because I know John feels about this movie, but I'm curious his perspective on some of these, because it may add a little bit more levity to the balance of all this.
Well, my mind is all over the place. Y'all done diverge from like 50 other different things and stuff and points brought up that I just wanted to just tackle and jump on, and y'all have been driving me because I was like, I want to talk about all of this, but I cannot. So let me get my mind together, because I've just been all right. So I'm gonna go through these here. I'm trying to brief them as quickly as
Take your time. Take your time.
Wanda did this already. So this is one of the things you guys brought up and was saying going back and forth on, and it's here's why I stand with this. She didn't do this. My quick answer is no. She didn't do this to the extent before that she's doing it now. And I see a lot of people, and you guys have shared your sentiments of this as well on the internet, of it's just backtracking. She did this already, and yada. How could she just switch up like this? We all seen WandaVision. It's literally teasing you at the very end of what she's going to do. So it wasn't a surprise of what she did. It wasn't a surprise how hard she went. She was somebody who did what she did in WandaVision, had the complete realization of, this is wrong, and I need to let you go, all the good stuff. Yay. Got a hold of the damn Darkhold and was like, listen. And that Darkhold was like, bitch, you want all of this? I got you. I'm going to use all this against you in your world, corrupt you, do all this. Cool, we got that. That's just plain obvious. So that was her motivation, and under the pressure of and influence of the Darkhold, throughout many of its plot holes and all that other shit they use for it, was the reasoning for that. So no, it's not the same. She didn't regress. She didn't do this again. It's a completely different tactic, motivation, and this just continuation from the arc because she's influenced by something just horrible. Got it. She killed everyone for imaginary children. Yes, they tried to use the mom motivation for that, and some of it was funny. Some of it was like, okay, I get it, but you're just crazy. And I kind of like that because I believe it was Ant that mentioned of the mental. This is a character who suffers from mental illness as well. And just multiple personality, just like, oh my God, because Scarlet Witch, she's literally an all-dimensional being. It's going to drive you wild. So I think, I don't want to say it's justified. No one's justified in a murdering spree. But if you're the villain and this is what you're literally going to stop at any means to go to the lengths of seeing your children and having your children. So tear it up, makes for an entertaining movie. I'm not mad at it. Let's see. Why did she possess other bodies? Well, those things, and I understand what you're saying. Why not do this? Why not, control America? Why not do all that? Because, and in the movie and everything like that, you only have that for a certain amount of time. It's not like you're just infinitely controlling these people. So I get it's just a taste. She's going to want more. As naturally anybody else who has that kind of mindset, it's just like, listen, this is great. I'm dream walking this person. This is great. Lovely. My kids. Ooh. Okay, I got to pull back now. I'm good. I can't stay up here floating for all of eternity. I need to figure it out. So I think that's why she didn't and couldn't just dream walk and possess somebody and just chill in that. Let's see. And I do believe they should have introduced or connected some little sprinkle of mutants in this film. There's a lot of people thinking, oh, we're going to introduce mutants in WandaVision. At the end, no more mutants, all that good, or no more, whatever. Do we want to do that? We didn't get it. I would have liked to have that connection now that we do have the rights. You brought Professor X, you brought Reed Richards, you brought everybody. There could have been some little sprinkle or hint at that that history that I would have liked to seen. So yeah, there's other things that just within those answers that bring up other stuff y'all brought up, but I'm not going to run it crazy. But those are my thoughts on that for sure, I'd say.
Yeah, I felt like we owe John's time because we've been going for about an hour and 25 minutes. And like John, every single time I was looking at John, I was like, oh, what do I want to do this? And I was like,
put me in, coach. Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to save a specific topic.
Yeah,
if there was anything else, John, that you wanted to bring up, then go for it now.
I'm trying to think. Like I said, it was so much like in between of like, you'd be like, Sam, like, hey, what's this, that, and the third? And answer that and goes like other things. I'm like, wait, no, this, I want to say that. Don't do that because that's a wild take. And then through all of it, my mind just got warped. So I'm just like, I don't remember. I'm trying to think of anything and pop in.
Mike, did you have anything to add any of his sentiments on any of those, or do you feel differently about any of his sentiments?
Yeah. So basically, what I keep talking about the story that I had issue with talking about Wanda. Did she do the same thing, right? To a point, you say yes because a point of, she was unaware of what she was doing, but yet no one was really physically harmed at all. To a point that to the point they were killed in our universe. Like I want a grand scheme, who did Wanda kill in our universe, like in the 616 universe? And to me, like saying nobody, to my knowledge, at least in this film.
Wakandans. In the building.
Right. So nobody. So basically, it's all been other people in other universes. But to the point of saying, should the multiverse should have shown the first mutant being used connected to Wanda's family? That to me would have been her closure of her character. She realized that, hey, I realized that a lot of things have been taken away from me, while realizing I have a greater family that I didn't realize I had before. That is the core of the character. It's not about saying, oh, we want to see X-Men and Cyclops and blah blah blah. No, we want to see things that are connected to a point where if you're putting this female character who now, to me, when WandaVision, you're making her my favorite character in the Marvel universe, to a point now, to Keaton's point, is that you're now almost flipping it over for the sake of like, oh, well, now she's being very self-destructive and all stuff. When she could just be a character which she was at her heart, which is expressing her vulnerability to her core, like what she experienced and how she overcame that, even to the points of decisions that she's not proud of, that all of us have made decisions in times of anger, frustration, loss, we know we're not proud of. But that was the beauty of her character, was her vulnerability. But what they did in this film was just second guess it. I'm going to go to the same thing I had over again, and let's keep it buck. Agatha was right. You're going to need me. I bet you she's going to be in the Agatha Harkness series, but to that I'm like, I don't know what they're gonna do with that, because like what conversation to have. Like, yeah, you're right. Yeah. And then like the whole thing with the relationship in terms of with Magneto and the family and everything is the whole dynamic of like, okay, the whole scene of WandaVision her reaching out for the missile, right? Saying that there's something inherently in her. I don't care what everyone say, well, we saw her parents. No, they're adopted. Okay, they're adopted at birth, so they will have no memory of them saying, oh, well, that's their parents. No, they're adopted, right? And for her to have, oh, I'm not alone. I have a sister, right? And Polaris and Scarlet Witch's relationship has been nothing but positive in the comics. So it's just like, especially if you watch Wolverine, the X-Men animated series, So that's my thing is, I was just kind of frustrated. Was not that what I was speculating didn't become my expectations of what happened. It was more of for her character, and you've done a disservice to her character. Now it's like, where do you go else from here, right? Other than her saying, oh, well, I'm actually a mutant. And now you're dealing with the whole persecution for her not being accountable for acts on top of her, taking over her town. Now that she's a mutant, then she's going to be double hated. So now she realized, hey, you're not alone. We got you. So what made it perfect? Let's say she did crumble that, the castle at the end. And then some strange reason Magneto came over and flew over and say, we got you. and then the movie will cut over. It will just cut.
Right. Like, how cool would it have been if he came, Magneto was like, come to me, my daughter. He's like, but I've killed so many people. They were only baselines.
Right. That's my point with just her character and to her children. Again, I keep talking about what Billy and Tom, like, first of all, they're coming. They're the most predominant, especially Wiccan with being the predominant character in the LGBT community, right? And now you have America Chavez, who's also part of that community too. It's like there's no way they're not going to not acknowledge them and bring them into the universe. But now we got to wait even longer for them to do that in a scene that's now you basically devalue it to a point like, all right, I'm just waiting for it now. I don't even care. And Sam Raimi, he can't direct children. They were way better in WandaVision than they were in this. Like, I was like, what are you doing? Like, anyway. Yeah.
I did like America though. I was surprised.
Yeah, she was all right.
I really liked her. I thought she was going to be annoying.
I agree, and she was great. I actually really
liked her.
I probably like her character more than anybody else.
I think I do. She didn't come off as like know-it-all. She didn't know things she shouldn't know.
They could easily done that, and they didn't.
And they didn't. I think they showed that this is how you introduce a new character, a powerful new character, and keep them like. And also, I like that. I'm trying to be careful when I say this. Like if you're a fan of The Wire, you know Omar, right? Omar is gay, but that's not all Omar is. Omar is a complete person. And I didn't know until after the movie. Somebody told me that America is I think lesbian in the comics, but that wasn't just her. She felt like a whole character. Sometimes people only focus on this is the black representation character. She's a whole character, and I appreciate that they actually gave her a chance to actually just act and be a person. So I don't know. That's just. Hope I said that right. Like I get
what you mean.
Yeah. No. They did a very good job, especially what they had a connection of, like as I said, with Kate Bishop being revealed, with the kid from Black, from Falcon or Soldier, slowly setting it up. But to me, I thought she was. To me, I'll say my second favorite in terms of who they introduced. Number one, I saw Kate Bishop because they got done more character development for her. But with this character and what she served, she was a plot device because that was her ability. But there were still things that I felt that the relationship between her and Strange that they were trying to say, do I trust you? Do I trust you? Whatever. To a point, I thought that was good. And I know some folks on the internet trying to say some things but even the whole thing with the moms thing, for them to ban this film for that, I was like, well, what we saw, I'm like, that was nothing. Yeah, that was nothing.
And
that scene was forced.
But the character made logical decisions through the movie. I wouldn't mind. She can show up anywhere. Like if you want to bring Gwen Stacy into the
MCU, supposed to be in Spider-Man.
You could do that
originally.
Yeah, she can hang out with Spider-Man. She can bring a different version of Miles in there. I would watch her again and other things. I think she's probably the best thing out this movie that I would.
By far,
I wouldn't mind. That I wouldn't mind see again. I have no.
Everything else was mid. Yeah, by far.
She was my least favorite. I thought she was annoying actually. I like the wrap up at the end between those two. I thought that was nice. I was like, oh, cool. But just for something, she just annoyed me throughout the movie. I'm just like, God damn, girl. And I get the arc that they were trying to go with her and find your own power and this and that. But she just felt burdened in there. And the whole time I was like, girl, you're annoying me. But that could be personal. Nothing to stick against the film.
Because she was just a kid. You think it's really she just acting the part for real? She was just a kid.
She's a damn good actress because none of the other kids in MCU annoyed me yet. So I'm good for her.
I think that might be part of it. But before Keaton, I know you got to leave Keaton, but I wanted to bring up something. We started it, and John, we started it as well on the backside. I wanted to talk about this film, this Marvel film, that it may actually be just a true to form PG-13 film. What I mean by that is this. So in this film, unlike a lot of the other Marvel films, like the other Marvel films, you got like robots or aliens that are just getting destroyed or killed, or you see stuff killed off screen and stuff like that. But Sam Raimi actually showed heroes, like legitimate, not poofing away or not like going and dying off camera, but like decapitations, like heads blowing out, some people being burned alive. So I wanted, because somebody had put up like, oh man, this should be rated R, and I was like, it shouldn't be rated R, but it's a legit PG-13 film. Like,
yeah, he pushed the
no
envelope.
kid underneath 13 should be watching some of the things that are happening in this one, because it really is kind of like nightmare fuel. Because the way that when Scarlet Witch really starts to pop off for real, like some of the issues I have with the movie kind of just go away, because I'm like, yo, she is the Terminator right now. Like, especially the way when she came in on the Illuminati, bro. Like, bro, I was scared. Like, I was like, they it wasn't even like they weren't trying. It was like they just didn't have a chance. The way she did Professor X in her own mind and tripped him up, I was just like, but I'm bringing all that up because is this one of the first Marvel movies that kind of took it there? Because I mean, Infinity War, like, yeah, Infinity War, man, like off break, you know, and it is like the Asgardians are just getting slaughtered. But this is very different because when she turns it on, the moment she says, like, look, if you get in my way, I'm gonna sweep you. She gave him full warning.
This is me being reasonable. This
and
is me being
she
reasonable.
swept people through different universes and didn't care. Blood everywhere. And so I was kind of like, this really, I couldn't recommend this to any of my friends that had kids 10 and under. So I wanted y'all's perspective on, do you guys feel like this is merited possibly a higher rating? Do you guys take it as like one of the more, I guess, a true to form superhero horror film? I guess Marvel's version of it. I was going to need y'all's take on it.
No, not at all. And I'll say this. I apologize if I interrupt anyone, but I'll say this. I would say no. I just say more along the lines of Raimi, you know, just knows how to push the envelope with the PG-13 rating. There are a lot of things that if for those of you that any folks out there that are familiar with, you know, the rating system and how you know, meticulous they are with certain things like the number of curse words or how violence is portrayed and how that can play into, you know, a rating. You know, give you a case in point, you know, you can show a lot of gore with like creatures or aliens a lot of times, and you know, you can get away with a PG-13 rating in with, you know, creature to creature violence or, you know, alien to alien violence, like what you had with
Alien vs.
AVP.
Predator.
Yeah, which is why they were able to get away with so much of it, because it's, you know, creature violence and not human on human violence.
Yeah.
And then additionally, I'll also say this, you know, we've had other instances, you know, in the MCU where I'm like, wow, they let them get away with that. Like, I mean, just recently, guys, we just had Moon Knight. Like, they got away with a lot of stuff in that show. Like that, there was some stuff in that show. I was like, wow, this is Disney Plus. Like, seriously, they got away with that on here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, same thing goes for, you know, taking it back is, and I mean, I can't believe no one brought it up, but Winter Soldier. Like, there's some stuff in there where I'm like, you know, in terms of you know, what's implied of what happened, and then even
that's what I was saying.
But they don't actually show like blood and gore, like it was still pretty violent. Like, it was a pretty.
Reed Richards' head popped though. Reed Richards' head popped like a balloon.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Is
that was energy.
Yeah, and
though.
black.
Like,
Yeah, and black.
Yeah, that was energy.
Yeah, it was the energy, the chaos energy. It wasn't blood.
But I grew up in the '80s. This ain't even nothing to me. So
no, like I do.
And I like horror films, so it don't bother me.
The thing is, like, yeah, I think it was a hard PG-13. There were only 2 or 3 scenes in there where I was like, "Whoo, they're playing on the line there."
That shield.
When Black Bolt's head went pop, I was like, "Oh, like that." Oof, that was rough. But like everything else is kind of stuff we've seen before. The only thing that I was kind of surprised by was how gory it got at the beginning with the
that's what I'm talking about.
The Shumagarath
with the eyeball,
creature,
the eyeball, and then of course also the Necromancer Strange at the end, like the way his face was eaten away and stuff, and they were actually like zooming in really close on it. It was definitely some moments in there I was like, man, I would definitely not take a kid to see this, because a lot of times I feel like when we see something's rated PG-13, it's just like, oh, it's not R, so it's fine. But this is one of those examples where it's like, oh no, it's PG-13, and we actually don't recommend this for kids that aren't 13. But I mean, at the same time, these kids are at home watching Stranger Things, so I don't think. I don't really think it's that big of an issue. Like I really don't.
Shout out to
No,
the Demon Hand
mom's
wings, though.
always gonna be boycotting something. So it's they're gonna be mad at Pringles next week. So it's it's fine.
Sorry, go ahead. That effect with the demon hands thing, though, I just thought about that. That was a great with the wind with the wings. I love that effect in that.
Oh yeah, that was dope.
That was visually nice.
Yeah, that was great. I don't think, and like I said, Sam, we spoke about this. I don't personally think, and take this with a grain of salt because I'm a damn gorehead. I don't think it pushed anything. I didn't think it was too crazy. Like I was like, I wanted more. I'm like, oh shit, got it. Like all the blood that was all over Wanda. I hate that was Ultron blood. I wanted real blood. Fucking give me everything. But I don't think it pushed the lines of anything. And Sam always say this all the time of like kids are too much for kids. Fuck them kids. Put them to bed. Go watch PBS. Go do something. You shouldn't be up here watching this anyway. Like I'm tired of that being the argument for everything. Kids. Y'all had your time. This is time for us to enjoy our movies. Take your ass to bed. It's like stop trying to monitor for them. And it's like I personally don't think
Captain Carter got served. She can't do that all day.
I mean, but listen, and that's another thing. When it comes to Illuminati, those deaths, first of all, and going back, I brought this up earlier. For the smartest man in the world, I'm not going to tell the Scarlet Witch directly in front of me how to kill this motherfucker right next to me. He can stop you just by uttering something out of his mouth or whatever. Well, thanks for that tip. Here you go. Captain Marvel, who's blasting through ships and buildings, gets taken out by a statue. Got it.
Black Lives Matter.
So I'm just like, what is happening? So I don't think it was too much. I don't think there was, to me, again, because I'm really hardcore when it comes to horror, I don't think there was really anything scary about this film or anything horror elemented, because that's Sam Raimi. It says he's horror based, but I'm like, minute he does something horror based, he follows up with something goofy as hell immediately right after it. And all of his horror is basically goofy to me. It's not scary or anything. It's like you create elements, you create vibe, but it's just goofy. Like I love his film, Drag Me to Hell. It's not scary by any means. Like you have this demon woman just walking with a tongue and be like, and shit. Like it's not scary.
It's becoming demons, though. They're becoming demons,
right? And the demons were cartoony. Yeah, it's like there's nothing scary about this film to be like, oh my god, push this. There's nothing truly gory to say push it. The most goriest thing was the Black Bolt thing to me. That did. I was like, oh shit. All right, cool. But yeah, I don't think it's pushing.
I think the only reason why I bring it up is because normally with these Marvel movies, they use a lot of the violence off of aliens, robots, creatures from other worlds. They don't do it on the heroes. They don't do it on anybody human. Even Moon Knight, to be quite honest with you, like a lot of that stuff is implied, but it's not that bad. Like it's I mean, even when he supposedly stuck something through somebody, like it was kind of like, oh, they're down. Yeah, who cares? Right. But I'm saying that with this as a Marvel film, they don't normally do that. They don't normally do that like that. Because even with like Winter Soldier, it was some dope shots. It was some dope things. Like, I mean, yeah, he shot some people, yeah. But I'm saying that the way they went about some of the things in this film, for a Marvel film, they don't do that. That's why I'm grading this off of how normally Marvel films go.
Yeah. No, you're right.
It's kind of like if I go,
it was definitely more violent than the prior ones. Yeah, definitely.
I think the most violent thing we've gotten, like visually, was Stark's death. Like him all like half burned and messed up. That's the most violent they've been towards a hero since like this movie. No one's really had anything gruesome like, oh, that's messed up, or it's been off camera, or just like you said, someone gets shot or hit and just dust flies from him. I'm like, that's not in the human body, sir. But
yeah, even with Stark, like he won't like he was burned and we saw him burning, like he was already burnt.
Right. That's what it is visually. Yeah.
We saw this black chick. She sat there and stabbed that.
Oh yeah.
And she was got burning.
Black Lives Matter.
You saw her legit burn to death.
She shed a tear.
She did shed a tear after her eyeballs were dried up.
And bro, when she was coming through them gosh darn puddles, bro, and taking niggas out, I was like, I love you, Sam Raimi, for that. Because I love that. I love those scenes.
That was cool.
But that gong, bro, was horrible. Can we admit that scene that looked bad? Is it just me? Like the mirror stuff popping up was cool. But then when she started coming out of that shit, I was like, this looks dumb.
It was
This looks
straight out
bad.
the ring. Really,
It's weird
it was
'cause,
straight out
like,
the
Yeah, it's
ring.
from the ring. It's from the ring.
Right.
Yeah.
Like for a Marvel film, I'm kind of like, I knew they were gonna do something.
I was like, this
We're
looks
watching it.
bad.
My wife literally said the same thing. She was like, "Is this the ring right now?" Like she actually said that while we were watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just going back to
also-
CG. CG was bad and it just looked goofy. I was like, this is taking me
I
out.
also lost respect for Wong. Like Wong doomed the multiverse to save 4 people.
Dude,
Like, that's
oh
not-
my God.
like what? Wong?
Bro, fortify your mind. The hell with everybody else, but 4 people, dude, you're dead. I'm not gonna risk these 4. You done eliminated my whole squad. You 4 aren't gonna make a difference in the grand
No.
scheme, the calculus of the multiverse. I'll give that whole speech, bro.
Yeah.
It was. I was like, nah.
It was messy. It was a messy movie.
very messy.
It was a messy movie because, like, you think about these things. Like Wanda was OP in this movie. If you can make Black Bolt's, like when she made Black Bolt's mouth disappear, I'm like, okay, she gonna win. She went.
Yeah.
She gonna win,
There's
right?
no
Like
way
she gonna win.
anybody should beat
Like,
her.
oh wow, if
Nobody.
you can make Black Bolt mouth disappear, you can make America Chavez's shoestrings tie together and she trips and oh look, you caught her, right? Like it's
Yeah.
difficult. It's difficult when it comes to magic because it's like they got to go all over the place to explain like why magic isn't being used right now. Like, oh, well, how are we gonna make them fight Mordo? Oh, well, let's put them in handcuffs that don't let them do magic and let them fight together in the handcuffs and hang from a building. And I'm like, what are y'all doing right now? Like,
And that's
They
what I'm
could have
saying.
had a great magic fight, and it didn't happen.
If you don't have a rules to your magic system, you're writing yourself into a corner.
Right.
And I've been saying it. I said this.
Even Harry Potter had
out
rules.
on me.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like,
well, they have rules and they broke them.
I think magic systems are really, when you want to have a continuing story, magic systems are really important. If you have too loose a system, then you're going to be wondering, why don't you do this? Why don't you? Even in this movie, Freeze says he couldn't stop the monster. Like Ponytail Strange is like, we can't stop the monster, but he freezes the monster and he's able to use a spell to cut off monster's limbs. So when I freeze the monster and cut the monster in half, like how was the monster unstoppable at this point? And also, that's another thing about the Ponytail Strange. I think they did the Wong thing because they're trying to make Ponytail Strange is that he was made a selfish or evil decision. No, it is one life versus the multiverse life. That's not an evil decision.
Right.
Ponytail Strange kind of saved the universe. I don't.
He was going to,
I
yeah.
don't know.
That's true.
It didn't make it. It just didn't make sense to me in the system. Sorry.
No, and it's even times they did have rules, they broke them. Like where Wanda brought Wong. He's like, listen, I forgot what the hell this castle thing's called. I was like, yeah, we don't go up there. Our magic shit up there. We don't do it. It's working perfectly fine. When he gets up there, it's like, oh, cool. Got it. I'm like, wait, so what happened to that rule? I'm like, all right, cool. Well, we're here now, I guess. So it is hard to, when, like, Keating said, it's hard to do that when you have like an all-powerful being. You do write yourself into tons of corners and I love this. One thing I really love about this film is that I love the fact that nobody beat her. She was just like, listen, I fucked up. All right, I gotta take myself out. And I'm not gonna hold you. I was starting to get very frustrated and angry at the theater in this movie when America was like, yes, I realized my power. And it started taking out. I was like, if she is about to take out Wanda, I am going to chuck everything I can at this theater right now. Thankfully, they didn't. And she was like, listen, I can't beat you, but I can show you what's up. I'm like, okay, fine. Because when she started giving them 2 pieces, I'm like, bruh, what is happening? But
I had to roll my eyes at that. That was a major eye roll for me.
Yeah,
that was a forced moment for hero moment for her. Like that.
All you had to do was punch her.
Facts. You just gave it a 2-piece, and now you're about to take out Scarlet Witch. I'm like, bro.
Right.
Especially when she took out the Illuminati, all of a sudden you can beat her? Really?
Right.
She believed, though. You guys have to believe she believed in herself.
God damn.
BS.
Simply, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. That believe in yourself stuff. Like out of nowhere, this movie has been Wanda as a Terminator going after people, and you gonna pull this homeward bound mess at the end, like believe in yourself. I'm a punch the Scarlet Witch, me.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's
Control my
why I
power.
had to roll my eyes at American
Mad
Chavez. I wanted
times.
to like her, and up to that point, I understood her motivations, what have you. I was trying to like understand her character, but when they had that come to Jesus moment, I'm like, no,
I was like, huh?
no.
Just did
No.
that one little speech. Realistically, I am so sorry. You can give me the most poetic, beautiful, inspiring speech ever in life. I am not immediately going to master every damn thing in my body
Exactly.
just because you said that.
I'm like, all of a sudden,
No.
where was this energy earlier in the movie?
Bitch, I'm punching you in the
If
face
she
and
beat
universes
her-
are opening up behind you, and I'm choosing which one to send you to by beating the shit out of you. I'm good.
Yeah, if she
Like,
beat her,
for
I'd
real,
have been,
like,
I'd have been
even-
on that. I'd have been on that wagon, but she didn't beat
Oh,
her.
yeah.
She
No,
didn't
she
beat
didn't.
her. And it ended like and like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan of the first Doctor Strange movie, but I love the fact that it wasn't a fight that won. He was like, DeMarmo, I want a bargain, or I've come to bargain, or something like that. And he outthought. It was a very Doctor Who-ish type of ending, and I'm all for that for this Doctor Strange type stuff. So.
But I did think it was smart that she did open up the portal and have Wanda have that moment with the kids, and the kids were scared of her. That moment I understood and I appreciated.
I love that convenient.
But before that, I was rolling
my
my eyes heavy.
Oh yeah, I was like, this is the
No,
stupidest
can
thing I've
she
ever seen in my
find
life.
any universe she wants? Is that what happens? Because Wanda's going through there are countless number of universes, and Wanda's finding them right away. And there's countless number of universes she can pick the right. Like I don't get the rules for that.
America
that's a
can
lot.
do that. America can literally travel anywhere she wants to through the multiverse.
So
That
is she a
her
Nexus
big-
being?
She is a Nexus being. Yes.
Do they know what a Nexus being is
Right.
anymore?
No.
Please
Because
educate the class.
like they just kind of making this up as they go along. Like, is she a Nexus being? Nah, she runs on Linux. Like, they don't know what they're talking about, man. They have no idea what they're doing. They're mad confused, and you can tell in this movie. You can tell they're like, I don't know. Maybe Infinity Stones are important. Maybe they're just paperweights. We'll find out next week. Like, we don't. Like, they keep going and they keep going and they keep going, and oh, this is how time travel works. But in Quantum Mania, we're gonna change it, and that's not how time travel gonna work. Like, they don't really know what they're doing, and that's why I said it's just kind of messy right now. I'm like, honestly, I wouldn't dare call myself the Sorcerer Supreme after Wanda just whooped my ass in this movie like that. Like, I'm not. No, I don't. Nobody. You don't get.
Dead or alive.
Nobody.
I mean, even if Doctor Strange was Sorcerer Supreme, he still would have had his ass whooped. So in a way, yeah, Wong got his ass whooped, and Doctor Strange got his ass whooped.
Right, like she beat two Sorcerer Supremes. Like, no,
Wong got embarrassed. Wong got embarrassed.
Yeah, she just kept
Wanda
talking
beat-
about this whole movie, bro.
She kept Wong as a pet. She
Right.
kept
like
Wong
they
as a
just
pet.
that. Yeah, I don't. It's
wasn't a time he
interesting
wasn't
because
knocked
right
out
now
in
it
this
just
movie.
it just
Okay,
seems like they
well, I
don't
have
know
a
what they're
question,
doing.
though.
Oh,
How
hold
can
on.
they fix this?
I got one last question, and then whatever's left, because
Oh,
we're
that's
overtime
my
now at this point.
bad.
We're almost at the 2-hour mark. So this is the final question. Ending thought question, like the actual ending. I have some issues with the ending, but I don't want to make time for that right now. I want to talk about the effects of what this movie ending did to me. So the ripple effect of the multiverse, like we've seen different shows lead up to, like, I mean, in Loki, there was a ripple effect that was happening. And even in what happened in No Way Home, there was a ripple effect that happened, right? So all these different things, like things are breaking down all over the place. Even Spider-Verse, if you want to add that into the mix of it. And then this movie, right? And it ends, and then what is the consequence of this ending?
This
Like,
shit
what is the outcome after this is
Ridiculous.
over with? Because she went through multiple different universes. She killed an Illuminati in a different universe, and then we don't know how long she was chasing America Chavez. We have no idea, because she was doing this, sending stuff out. But it's kind of like, okay, there has to be a rule situation, right? And Anthony keeps bringing up rules are very important. But when you're talking about a multiverse, you have to establish something. So I'm saying to you guys, like, what are the real consequences of this? The movie just ends. There's not an implication of a secret war. There's not an implication of, something being messed up or awry because of what happened. And all these other shows and films have been showing that the multiverse is cracking. So how can there be bleed over when the movie that's about Multiverse of Madness didn't have any bleed over at all, or any consequence to be?
I'll tell you exactly what the hell this Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off. I don't know if you was done
No,
there,
go.
but this
Anybody-
ending
anybody.
infuriates me because you spoke about there's multiple different shows and movies that have talked about multiverse, and what's frustrating is because each one of them ended within their own set and occasional kind of world. There was no branching out for either of them. It was all within their contained situations. Nothing has come full circle yet, or even begun to even woven to be like, here, this is connected off that, and because of this, that.
What if?
Nobody knows
what
about any
if
of
is
them.
the only.
Well,
yeah. I think it's the only one that I can think of because that
right,
other
but it's like
Doctor Strange
nobody
ended up in this one.
is aware of everything that previously happened elsewhere that it happened in. It just happened there. That was it, and it's stuck within that story, that world, and is yet to all connect or have an explanation. This shit just ended. And this was pissing me off. I don't know if it's for Raimi purposes, but it felt very Raimi. And that goddamn riff guitar that I hated throughout the whole entire movie, randomly, just walking down like he dove into the dark hold for a little bit. He's walking down the street. Oh my God, he's in so much pain. Bill and Ted, his fucking eyeball opens up. I'm like, holy shit, and then it just ends. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to deal with that. He dealt with the dark hold. That's gonna somehow kind of, bleed into the next film. Maybe he'll battle back and forth. Who knows? Nope. End credit scene. Hey, Charlize, what's up? Incursion. Bloop. Let's handle it. Like, it's done. Like, so we did all that for nothing. What's the repercussions? What's happening? You just mastered it. It's done now. Got it. So I don't know how this connected unless there's something in Secret Wars that they literally mesh or bring all this together. What's going to happen with ramifications for Scarlet Witch will be in a sentence, I'm sure, and somewhere else, like, yeah, that one thing happened with Scarlet Witch, yada, 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 yada. Cool. We got it. It'll be in a small little recap in a sentence somewhere, and that's it. I think Secret Wars are really close too. They'll try to find a way to bring it all together finally to where it makes sense. And this person did that, and that caused this, and this is the reason why that happened. And Kang is here. We're fucked. So it's like that's probably what's going to happen and occur, sadly. But as of right now, Multiverse of Madness stands on its own ending of multiverse consequences going forward. It still has not aligned with the previous, sadly.
So this is my take on it. Unless Franklin and Valerie Richards comes through a portal to cut Wanda down, like I really don't think anything happens. Magneto didn't happen. Unless you name drop the children of Reed Richards to start them, because Franklin Richards would mess Wanda up.
Franklin Richards gonna come for that ass.
Right. So unless that happened, nothing. I mean, I don't know. It just left me with the thought. The most pleasurable thought I got. Right. The most pleasurable thought I had was that, my dreams of being with Rihanna are right. A version of me is with Rihanna right now. And so that's all I got from this. I never need to see this movie again. Like, I will never watch this movie again. Like, I'm good.
Anybody? I want all you guys to kind of give your perspective on
I
it.
kind of agree. I kind of agree with them. Like, this movie just kind of ended. And it does stand on its own because it feels like the whole point of the movie was Doctor Strange saying, Wanda, you can't do that. And then he went and did it. Right? Like, oh, Wanda, you can't meddle with the multiverse. And then he meddles with the multiverse. Oh, Wanda, you can't handle the Darkhold, but I'm gonna handle the Darkhold. Let's roll credits at that. Right? And so they didn't the only purpose I think the movie showed was to get rid of Wanda because she was overpowered for whatever comes next. Because right now, as it stands, nothing could really stop her because we see how she went invincible on the Illuminati. So we can't.
That was the purpose for the movie. Cameos, sir. That's what you meant to say. Cameos.
Right.
That was the for the movie.
You're right. Yeah. But like, yeah, like it served as so that whenever they make the next mid movie, we don't say, oh, well, why wasn't Scarlet Witch there? She could have handled this if she just thought about it. And it didn't. Yeah, it didn't, because it's starting to feel like these movies and these TV shows, the only purpose they serve is the 30-second clip that we get during the credits. And I'm like, I didn't feel like staying 2 hours just for that. Like, it's just, I don't know.
And then a joke at the end of it too.
Right. It didn't feel like it served any purpose. But like I said, a lot there are tons of Marvel fans out there right now that are like, this is just the first chapter. Just wait, because in 3 years, y'all gonna see Multiverse of Madness was something amazing. In 3 years, y'all just wait. And I'm like, whatever, man.
If this shit ain't pretty and in a bow by Secret Wars, like it's end cap, something is just wrong. Like this all better make sense in your purpose by then.
But that's one
I'll
of the
go
things
last.
that-
I'll go last later. After a couple of you talk, I'll go last.
But that's one of the things that Marvel has excelled at previously in this other phases is
which is why I'm not
leading
so
you
worried
into the next progression, you know? And I mean, they even in No Way Home, it's kind of like, okay, a little bit of the remnants of the symbiote is left over. So I'm like, oh,
it's still
you know, you could see that the setup could be there, but why not use the multiverse film to lay those small little breadcrumbs? And it's just weird to me. And I go back to what I was saying before, is that they didn't know what the defining ending was for this movie beforehand.
Clearly.
And I feel like that laid this ripple effect to the question I'm bringing to you guys now. I mean, you guys, I'm interested to know y'all's perspective, because I want to have hope that this can lead to something. But
well, I'll say
come to the wrong place.
I feel.
I mean, I mean, honestly, though, I think with that, I think they can, because there's only two options where I think they can go. The fact that they made the announcement of Agatha Harkness, series. That to me, I don't see what was the purpose of announcing that show unless it should be connection to her, because she babysit their kids in the comics. So, and also she has some little bit ties with X-Men or something like that. But,
Fury.
Yeah, right. But I also was hearing rumors about possibly that, let's say this might be leading up to her getting her own film, right? Right, and to me, I'm like,
Scarlet,
that still leaves me
I
more
was like,
questions.
man,
Yeah, that still leaves me more questions to answer. Like, wait, you gonna give her another film? We just got her series and stuff, and now it's like, can we know Elizabeth Olsen gonna start her contract and everything? So I want to have hope, but honestly, I do believe Marvel they shot themselves in the foot with this one, because it's like it's getting to a point now where I understand Marvel has built this point where say, hey, in Marvel we trust, but to a point where you now take advantage of that, think, well, hey, you'll accept we'll make a movie about a tree and a talking raccoon. Okay, yeah, but there was a good story behind that based off you doing that concept. But if you're going to say, hey, well, we're going to give you different versions of Spider-Man, whatever, cool. But still, there is still heart in the soul of what Spider-Man is, and also capturing 3 generations of Spider-Man fans and being consistent with that. Also, with each of those different Spider-Man, because it could have been a mess, they did that. That's why it was No Way Home was great as it was. But then you get this to a point. I don't say I don't trust what Kevin Feige is telling me, but I don't want to hear something say, "Oh, well, you gotta watch WandaVision, you gotta watch Loki until you get this film." No, you didn't have to watch any of these series because there's still questions. I was hearing some reports saying, "Oh, Loki and Sylvie's gonna be in Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness after when the finale came out." I was reading reports about that. They're not in this, right? They're not. Because
they didn't know what happened.
Right. The director of WandaVision, for those of you guys who are bummed about what happened about X-Men or Fantastic Four, listen, guys, they're coming. You got a movie called Multiverse of Madness coming out, and we're still waiting. So
yeah, he did say that.
He did say that. So yeah, I got receipts. So on that point, where this can lead towards to with the whole Secret Wars, I'm waiting for a next announcement, probably in the summer from Kevin Feige, because we're getting past the point where after Miss Marvel, we got She-Hulk and stuff, but Secret Invasion, Armor Wars, all the other series that probably will potentially want to announce and stuff, I need them to give me explanation about what's going on in the future of the films, because at this point now, I'm leaving to uncertainty where it's like you're building something, and I think almost like feel like we're more intellectual than Marvel is. Unfortunately, we're overcomplicating these shows and these movies than actually what it is when we see them. It's very more simplified. So I don't appreciate what Kevin Feige saying, well, if you actually studied this and look, it's all connected, like the whole Nexus thing is connected. No, don't overcomplicate it. I want to say,
and I'm hoping that it is deliberate and this is all on purpose, because I know that they've used this several times. And I hate that they're kind of using this as their kind of backbone for this. So the fact of it being the multiverse, of it just being infinite amounts of just things and possibilities, that they're just using that as their crutch to be like, that looks crazy now, but it's a multiverse. It's crazy. We're not supposed to know. But then here at this point, it's all going to come together. That's what I honestly think they're going to do and thriving to do. Well, that's just me writing it for them. But I don't know. That's what I'm just hoping that's where it's going. Because like Sam said, this isn't the first time we've been there where things are all just happening and it all comes together like, oh, here it is down the line. So I'm just like assuming that's what they're doing now.
But the closest thing we got coming out is Fantastic Four, which just lost their director. So hopefully after that we can at least get some.
Listen, they didn't bring John Krasinski for nothing. I feel like you're like, hey, come direct this. You won't be Reed, but direct it. I don't think he's coming back as Reed, by the way.
Maybe they'll do something with it in Quantum Mania. I don't know.
Right, because Kang is that, and also Doctor Doom was the one that set up Secret Wars, at least in the comics. So, like,
in the comics he did. In this one, it might be Groot. We don't know.
Stop going by. Don't go by comics. You should know better by now, Jedi Mike. They're taking their own.
You're right.
Creative liberties, and like you said, it might be Groot. It might do some shit like boom, Secret Wars.
You don't know.
Anywho, well, I think we've gone long enough. It's 2 hours and 5 minutes. We're not going to 12. So, closing thoughts and last sentiments on this film. I think that Anthony said that he's no longer going to watch this movie again. But
I've seen it again Thursday, so I have to.
But I think it is interesting. I can't remember who mentioned it. Was it Jedi Mike or was it Ronan? That this is the best MCU film since Endgame.
I said that.
I did want you guys' perspective on that. I mean, I don't know if you want to count No Way Home, but yeah.
I'll rephrase it. I'll rephrase it because there is valid points of
no, you
story.
Can keep it, that's fine.
No. Because I did mean that to me, it's my favorite movie after Endgame. It may not be the best movie. It may be it's subjective. To me, I'll say this because I wanted to give my 2 cents of the story. That I think emotionally, the film had moments where it could have hit hard. It didn't for me. I think WandaVision, for her arc, Wanda's character in WandaVision was emotionally way better. Oh, yeah. I think for Doctor Strange, his one episode of What If was way better than his emotional journey in this movie.
Tenfold.
This is me, someone saying that I really, really like this movie, and I'm gonna go watch it again happily. And I will say this, that I will commend them for it's a double-edged sword with the story where it's like Wanda trying to be a mother trying to find her kids, yet you're going through this similar, not same process that you did in your previous show. With them, I appreciate. I'm not gonna say I'm getting superhero film fatigue. I'm not gonna say that, but after the Infinity Saga, the same third act or same second act, same first act similarities are popping up way more than they did before. And so that's why I savor films like Logan or Guardians or shows like WandaVision. I savor those more than a lot of other films. I commend them for trying something different. To me, and some people thought that the movie was long for 2 hours. To me, I would have liked to use a little bit more, like 10, 15 more minutes, just to get stuff not so rapidly thrown in. They're like, Wanda's the bad guy. She's been this bad guy for the whole time, and it was just a trick. It was just a ploy to get you going. I like Danny Elfman's score. However, I did miss Michael Giacchino's theme. Whenever I think of the film of Doctor Strange, I think of Michael Giacchino's theme for Doctor Strange. I like some of the stuff that Danny Elfman brought in. Again, to each their own about the Illuminati scene. I like that we got a version of the animated series of X-Men's theme in an orchestral way. That was dope. I thought that was a unique thing. And again, you all brought valid points of like, I hope this pans out good with what you're planning, because right now, for a lot of you, the stuff isn't matching. I say that after Endgame, they've earned the right to swing and miss, and yet have people be like, no, now we did the thing for basic audiences. Now, if you're following us this long, we're gonna connect stuff, and you have to follow along even deeper, and that's your choice if you want to. Again, it's a double-edged sword of how you want to play it. It's weird for me because Doctor Strange, although Spider-Man is more famous and probably more beloved, and No Way Home is more emotional, I like the side stuff that isn't in the main focus of mainstream. So whenever Doctor Strange comes out or Guardians of the Galaxy comes out, when it's side weird stuff, at this age of my life, that gravitates me towards it easier.
Right. That's what I was saying. I agree with that. Because they're Marvel, they've earned it at this point. Just trust us, go believe it. If it works out, it doesn't. If it does, cool. That's why I'm not so worried. I'm just gonna see where it goes. I believe they have an end game, no pun intended, to tie all this together, and I'm just gonna take the ride and see. Now, believe it or not, contrary to belief, I do like this film. I do not love it. Obviously, that's very obvious. But I liked it. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen. To me, since Endgame, I'm still Team Shang-Chi all damn day. I'm obsessed with it. I love that film.
That's valid.
But you shut up, bro. You don't get to say so again, I'm seeing it Thursday. I'll have a full, complete, okay, this is where my firm stance on it is. But I loved Wanda. Strange. Benedict still did his thing. I look forward to see what they're gonna do. We all know she's not dead.
Yeah.
Clearly, you don't sign, 7 more years or extensions, whatever. So we'll see. Then that's how I feel about it. The Illuminati shit, that was just for literally, it was a Deadpool 2 moment. It was to give everyone online to shut up. Look, here he is. Here you go. Move along. And then that's really about it. But overall, I like the film. Good job. We'll see where it goes next. Just tie it up nicely. That's it.
All right, I guess I'll go next. So to answer your prior question about what you were saying, about where I picture it will go, I know I'm trying to recall, who said it specifically, but I know it was commented on of the incursions and how it ended and how it seemed like that was just something that they're just jumping into immediately. I feel like they're just introducing that as a possibility, as a new wrinkle, if you will, of what goes into Secret Wars and what really drives what will happen for Secret Wars, and getting into because I feel like the new set of Avengers movies are going to possibly get into a overarching theme with Secret Wars. So I mean, there's that possibility. I feel like people are not giving enough credit to the Easter egg with Reed Richards. Those kids are coming. I feel like there's an opportunity there for them to do something with Franklin and Valerie or Valeria, excuse me, with them possibly coming back. Because I mean, can you imagine an opportunity like that where you're in a Secret Wars movie, and then eventually out of one universe you have the kids from that universe and they're grown up and they're saying, they eventually find their way or interact somehow or find their way to Wanda, because of course, we picture that she's still going to be alive. So she still has to answer for, those actions of, atrocities that she committed against other universes. So you still have people that, are gunning for her. That would be a cool possibility in the Secret Wars films when you have those different folks from different universes and still having the repercussions of what happened in this film. So you have that possibility, and then I would say just overall, I know generally as a theme, one thing that we've been talking about is with the multiverse and was there enough, and I understand that idea that we only got 2, if you want to be technical. We just had, I guess you could say, 2 additional universes, but really 1, honestly. But when we're thinking of, the possibility of a multiverse, is really, is there a really definite number of universes that we would be satisfied with? I feel like, if we have 5 extra universes that we saw you know, for someone that still wouldn't have been enough. They would have, you know, we would have had some gripe of, oh, well, they didn't do the universe with, you know, this particular character. I mean, we had all of these, you know, and we've been talking about it now with all of these possibilities of potential characters that were supposed to pop up, whether it was from Loki or, you know, for the longest time, we were supposed to have Superior Iron Man. We were supposed to have Tom Cruise, right? Pop up in this movie. And that didn't pan out. So, like, I feel like, you know, just as fans, you know, when is enough? Like, you know, I feel like someone wouldn't have been satisfied regardless of how many universes we eventually saw, you know, in the final product. And then even outside of that, you know, I remember someone commenting on, you know, Professor X. I don't know if any of you guys have heard this news, but or have, even though it's not confirmed at this point, you know, just that idea of potentially Professor X might be, you know, connected to a separate universe, especially now that they're doing that animated show. They're doing the X-Men 97. So maybe, I don't know if you guys have heard that out there. All the rest of you guys here on this panel of that potentially might be the 97, you know, animated version of Professor X.
No.
And they may somehow correlate that to, they may try to connect that and say that animated universe, which would be really ambitious, by the way, you know, them trying to act like, you know, that 97 show would be a separate universe. And they can, you know, since we have the show coming up, they can connect the dots of how he eventually meets, you know, that Illuminati team and leaves his universe and meets up with the Illuminati there. I mean, that's something that's out there.
It makes sense.
Take it with a grain of salt.
The cartoon universe, so why not?
Yeah, take it with a grain of salt, but like, you know, that has been something that's been floating around, because I mean, he has the the chair, he has the same exact outfit, you know, from, you know, the animated show. And then apparently, like, which I have to look at this again because it was spelled out, is that it's in the credits that the theme that they play, because it's a recognizable, you know, X-Men animated theme that we know, that it was titled as X-Men 97 theme. So really? I'll look at that again, and that's something that someone has commented on, is that they actually have it listed as that. So that begs the question, you know, they had it, which is, it's crazy that you have to look in the end credits just for Easter egg to see some stuff, but like, I'll look at it again. But that's something that's been, you know, out there, is that might actually be, you know, that X-Men 97, you know, version of that character. And that's what's connecting the dots, is because they have proof of it there in the end credits when they're, you know, giving the credits of those different musical cues or themes. So, oh, and then lastly, I will say on top of that, I know we didn't really get into it, but I will give credit where credit is due. I think this first part, that it may have been purposeful, but I don't think the second part was purposeful, is that, you know, they released the film, because I don't think it was initially going to come out in May, but they released the film on Mother's Day weekend. And this is kind of like a twisted Mother's Day type of film in terms of, like, you know, the themes that it introduces. You know, we were talking about, you know, Wanda and her kids and you know, a mother's love, so to speak, and sometimes how that could go awry. And then additionally, credit to them too, of, you know, May being mental awareness. What is it? Mental health awareness. I don't think anyone brought that up either. Mental health awareness month, and that the fact that we had the movie coming out on mental health awareness month. I don't know if that was purposeful, but still, like, it's still the fact that they, you know, have it coming out during both of those times when it touches on both of those. I feel both of those ideas. So.
Oh, that's kind of dope. Didn't know about the latter half part. That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on one thing. He was talking about how much would be enough. I do think that there would be people that would be like, oh man, why didn't you add this person? Why didn't Tony Stark have this variation? But I'll say this, to be the devil's advocate on this. With Spider-Verse, what Spider-Verse did was they showed us, like, 5 different other variations, technically 6 variations of, you know, Peter Parker, or variations off that character, Spider-Man, right? And what the movie did by the end of it, it left you like, oh wow, there could be so much more, right? So it's like the movie, the goal of the movie isn't even so much to have everything all at once. It's more so to be like, the anticipation of other opportunities. And I think even Moon Knight, because me and Aunt Gold were talking about this for a long time, and we hadn't talked about it yet because we're going to do our review later, but it was kind of like, oh, wow, is there a third entity? Spoiler alert for anybody that's seen Moon Knight. I apologize. Is there possibly, another entity within besides Steven and Mark? And if you've seen the end of it, you know that there's more. And I was kind of like, even though I didn't see this character the whole entire time, I was like, oh, wow, I can't wait to see what they do next with this. This movie, to me, didn't leave that impression of, oh, wow, there's so many other possibilities. It kind of just killed these variations of the Illuminati and didn't implore or show any other opportunities of, like, what does the Avengers look like in other universes or other characters? I think that there's certain simplistic things they could have done, but they just chose to make it really consolidated. This wasn't an Avengers level film. I think that's the other thing I didn't have time to talk about. But I think that that's one of the things that keeps this feeling, standalone-ish, when really it probably should have been. If you're going to talk about a multiverse of madness, then it should have been like an Avengers level film. Otherwise, it really should have been, I can't remember who came up with the title. It should have been like Scarlet Witch versus Doctor Strange, or Scarlet Witch versus... whatever. I think that would have made the most sensible, but they knew what to bring butts and chairs. They knew putting those TV spots, which I think did a disservice to everyone. Screw the marketing. Those trailers and those TV spots ruined so many different things of anticipation, because they're not just letting people enjoy the surprise of what could happen, and it's leaking out.
I don't know why
they're putting these things out. They're leaking out so bad that it's like the layover is losing a lot of different people. But that's for a whole nother thing. We don't have enough time to talk about that, so I apologize for diverting that. But I wanted to bring up that point. Brandon was talking about that. But
So, all right. So here's the thing, and y'all were right when y'all said that. Like, we're gonna stick with it because Marvel has earned it. They did. They knocked it out of the park in those first phases, and now every movie that they make prints money, whether it deserves to or not. Now, the issue is they're getting to this point where they're hitting they're hitting oversaturation. Like, oh, Guardians of the Galaxy, well, we got to have Thor in it. Doctor Strange movie, oh, well, Scarlet Witch has to be in it. I give it about 5 years. I'm going to say 5 years before we have Aquafina and she's asking Blade if his fangs are real and telling Wanda that she likes her outfit.
Oh my God.
They're kind of dancing on something weird here, and it worked the first time around because it was all of their big guns: Thor, Captain America, Iron Man. Like, it worked because it was the big guns, right? But I don't know if it's gonna work with 1,000 side characters. And this movie, it was something, because people are saying, oh, it didn't hit its mark. I think Marvel knew exactly what they were doing with this movie. Hey, fans won't like it, and so that'll make them come see the next one. And you know what? We'll make another $1 billion off of it, and they'll be mad, and we'll just keep making mediocre ones until we figure it out. I'm gonna watch it because that's just who I am. But I don't know. I wasn't a fan of this, and it kind of made me lose a bit of faith in the MCU, just because I'm tired of waiting. I'm just tired of waiting to see what they're doing with 30-second clips after 2.5-hour movies over and over again.
Respect. Nat, you got anything? Closing thoughts or anything that we brought up?
I mean, everyone pretty much brought up good points. I just don't know where it's going. I mean,
just joking.
It's not obvious to me, okay? I'm not as immersed in the lore as all of you guys here. So as a casual, just MCU movie fan, I don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
So for me, it's kind of like I gotta wait and see. Maybe it'll click for me once I see all the movies, how it tied all together. But for now, I'm not seeing it. Like you said, like several people have said, it feels standalone-ish, and that's the sense that I got. And I think, unfortunately, I feel like for some characters, they pigeonhole like how they're writing them. Like, I just don't know what direction they're gonna go. Like, what else can y'all do at this point?
Look, this is what I want. If I'm being real, keep it a book with all y'all. That's all I really want. Give me that.
Mark
And
Ruffalo.
yes, they've
Right
opened up
way,
the multiple universes, but it's like if we get the Illuminati, that's not a good first impression, so to speak. So it's kind of like we're again,
right?
The anticipation just isn't there anymore.
Right.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, even I think we lightly brought it up, but Clea, I was so when she popped up, I knew exactly who that was, and I'm like, yes, teases for something that deep comic fans will appreciate, but like the grander audience will be like, all right, let's see what's that about. But I mean, nobody. But what I'm saying is that people said, "Oh, Charlize Theron," they didn't say the character, and she didn't even say her name. She just said, "Yo."
Yeah, it would have been nice. It would have been nice to hear her name. Like seriously.
Exactly. People came up to me at the theater and be like, "So who was that? Why are you freaking out over Charlize Theron?" Okay.
Let me find my Marvel guru to figure this out.
Right. Exactly.
Hey Siri, who? Everybody is looking at theater did at the end.
Yeah. Did everybody go through their final closing thoughts? And did you want to close this out?
I'm pretty much. I can't remember who just said it, but I'm pretty much with them. I don't really care. Shang-Chi didn't work for me. Black Widow didn't really work for me. Huh?
I was being joke after you said Shang-Chi. I was like, can we mute him?
Oh, Shang-Chi. The only character I really cared about in this film so far after Endgame has been Spider-Man. I care about Peter's alone. Like that story worked for me. It hit those beats for me. Yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy might do it for me. I don't know, and I hope Thor: Love and Thunder does it. But
I hope so.
I think when they lost when they lost Chadwick, I think that really threw a wrench in like the next phase of who they can go with. I don't think Captain Marvel hit the way they thought it was going to hit. Yeah. I know some people love her. I know some people that I just don't think it hit the way. She's not a replacement for Tony or Steve. The natural replacement for Tony and Steve was Scarlett Johansson. I don't know why they decided to mess that up, because she could have been the focal point going forward. But I don't know. I also, unless they change direction, unless they do something drastically different, I'm also in like the 5-year range where this kind of peters out, and it's a shame, because now we're really getting to comic book stories. We're really getting to we can get to the weird stuff now, and you can have these different sections. Somebody said it earlier. You can have the kids have their kiddie section over there. Keep your PG over here, and then we do Moon Knight and Blade. We can do the R-rated stuff. We can be a Ghost Rider movie in hell. We can do all that stuff. It doesn't always have to be in this one lane.
FTK.
And if they don't diverge their lanes, because that's what makes comics interesting. You can get your Punisher over here. You get your Power Pack over here. Like you get your X-Men. Like you get your Wolverine. Like all these different things are different genres, and I hope they branch more into it. So yeah, that's all I got to say about it.
That's what I'm hoping for Miss Marvel, because people were mad about that. I'm like, that's the point of Miss Marvel. That like, it's not aimed for me, but I'm still want to watch to see what that lens is going to go through with the MCU. So we shall see. The MCU is going to make more money. Who cares?
Well, you guys, this has been hype. Hopefully, I was a good moderator, try to keep us tight as best I could. We went for 2 hours and 27 minutes. I can't believe it. All you guys that are in the chat, thank you so much for being a part of this. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell button. I want everybody here to plug your respective medias. John, where can everybody find you?
So, you guys can find me right here on YouTube. The Night Entertainment Network, where every Tuesday, me and the Broham Logan go live at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Film Cave, which is our live podcasting show where you guys, we just sit here, shoot the shit, talk about films. Pretty great. Make sure you stop on by, and you can find me at John Knight __ on all forms of social media. So yeah, appreciate it a lot.
No problem, brother. Brandon, where can everybody find you, man?
I was muted. There we go. You can find me at Movers and Shakers Unlimited over on YouTube. My Twitter handle is just down there. Yeah, I mean, we talk about a lot of folks that are at the the pinnacle of their their respective careers in various industries, and the struggles that they take in order to get there. But of course, outside of that, we also like to get into our pop culture news, our reviews, or what have you. So. But yes, Movers and Shakers Unlimited over on YouTube and elsewhere on social media, Facebook, Twitter, what have you. There you go.
And did you want to plug real quick the panel you're trying to bring about for San Diego?
Oh no, we'll talk about that offline, man. I'm not gonna put that out in the universe yet.
Okay, I was about to advertise it for you. All right.
Hey, I still gotta get it. Yeah, I'm still waiting.
Starting his own Illuminati.
Put it out on the universe yet.
Because we got some people down here you can probably use anyway.
Oh yeah,
I know. Ronan, can you plug your information, man?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I'm Ronan Chain. You can find me on YouTube and on Twitter. I do reviews, reactions. I have a podcast that is going once in a while. News comes forward Star Wars, and I will be attending Star Wars Celebration in a few weeks. I might be doing some videos about that. And
congrats, dude.
Thank you. And once in a while, you see me chatting with Sam, John, any of you, the rest of the host panelists. And I just love talking about geek culture and cinephile stuff.
Yeah, you guys, please go and subscribe to Ronan. Ronan, honestly, every video we make, he is there. And I really do want to say I really appreciate your devotion and assistance with being a viewer and also being a friend, man. So I appreciate you for coming.
I'm honored, man. You know I'm honored.
Nat, can everybody, where can they find you? I mean, other than the obvious. Oh, you're muted.
I think you're muted. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can follow me at Willcat12 on Instagram and Twitter. I'm over here at TeamJVS. I'll pop up on different discussions, and definitely a Wheel of Time fan. So when season 2 drops, I'll probably be doing videos on that. But yeah, social media, all that good stuff. You can find me there.
Nat is awesome, you guys. We would not have an infrastructure on social media without her. Just so you guys know, she is the GOAT.
Yeah, Natasha.
She is the GOAT. Aunt Gold.
Well, you can find me here on JVS. I'm usually talking about Star Trek. So if you are interested in Star Trek, we're following Strange New Worlds now. We're going to be putting up our little late Picard season 2 ender. And then whatever me and Sam are up at the same time, we both don't sleep. So you can find us talking about a lot of things.
Yeah, go and check out his overview of the first 5 episodes of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And then I think we're going to be releasing out a couple different mini recaps for that. And then we're going to try to do our Moon Knight review as well. And also, you and Brandon probably need to talk Star Trek a little bit later, but that's for a whole nother side question. We'll talk about that later.
Sounds good. I want to put it in that top 10 list. So anybody wants to jump on that to talk about top 10 of a Star Trek series or captains or whatever, let me know.
All right. And last but not least, one of my oldest friends, one of the funniest dudes I know, and a member of Team JVS, Keaton. What's going on, bro?
What's going on? So yeah, you can find me at Keaton7 on Twitter. And of course, I'm also on Instagram. And like Sam said, I do stuff with I do a lot of stuff with JVS. But recently, me and my friend, Dr. Amelia Brown, she's a clinical psychologist. We just started a podcast called Bat Therapy, where we just look at the psychology of various superheroes, especially with Batman. And we jump around all kinds of comics. You can find us at bat-therapy.com. We have about 5 or 6 episodes out now, and we're available on Amazon, Spotify, Pandora, Google, Apple, just about anywhere you can find podcasts at. But again, that's Bat Therapy at bat-therapy.com. I'd love for y'all to check us out.
Real quick, I did happen to find you guys on Amazon. Ironically, I happened to see it. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
Cute. That's cute.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that concludes all of this craziness. We had our own multiverse of madness. We had our own better version of the Illuminati, and nothing bad happened to any of us. So we're gonna go. We lost a few people along the way, but we're gonna go.
Naturally.
Make sure you subscribe, notifications. We're gonna be probably talking about some things coming up very soon, and of course, Lord of the Rings is dropping very soon. Stranger Things is dropping very soon. Late in December, of course, Avatar 2 is coming up. So there's a lot of content to be had, a lot of things to talk about, and you're not gonna do that. You're not gonna do that. I will shut this down. I will shut it down.
Falling out the top of
I can see the skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline.